My name is John Vater from Fraunhofer OITB. I'm organizing in the name of the Flex Function to Sustain OITB. We are organizing this workshop. We had a morning session on some technical details or also legal and model details on the OITB setup. And now in this afternoon, we want to have a look in what open innovation testbeds can offer to the industry. The first what I want to do is I give the word to the European Commission, to Peter Dröll, as we are introducing us to the workshop with a welcome message. And yeah, it's your turn. Let's go ahead. I will be silent.
Thank you very much, John, and good afternoon to all of you. Warm welcome ahead of the 2021 Euro Nano Forum to have this satellite workshop dedicated to open innovation testbeds. I'm very happy that we have exactly the right mixture of industry participants, academia, and research and technology organizations. So let me just give you a very brief overview of what open innovation testbeds are, what we have achieved so far, and what's coming next. And all this is, of course, against the background of getting out of the crisis, accelerating the green and digital transition, and improving Europe's resilience. So in short, open innovation testbeds are entities providing common access to physical facilities, capabilities, and services to companies and users. And these facilities are required for the development, testing, and upscaling of nanotechnology and advanced materials, covering validation in a laboratory up to prototypes in real industrial environments. So in the previous EU Research and Innovation Framework Program, Horizon 2020, we have invested some 250 million euros in open innovation testbeds. And the main objective is to accelerate the scale up of new technologies, new advanced materials, and nanotechnology. Scaling up is the main objective. And to reach this objective, a couple of functions are key for open innovation testbeds. And this is about reducing costs, reducing the time to market, reducing the material usage, circular economy, accelerate the maturity of products, reduce the risk of investment, and increase the return on investment, and harmonize the conditions for testing and the procedures for testing, and by this also doing a contribution to regulatory compliance and accelerating maturity and access to market. So quite an important ambition, quite a big challenge. By now, we have, with EU contribution, EU funding, financed 25 open innovation testbeds in 6 areas. That's lightweight, nano-enabled multifunctional materials and components, safety testing of medical technologies, nano-enabled surfaces and membranes, functional materials for building envelopes, nano-pharmaceutical production, and then cross-cutting materials characterization and materials modeling. And with this, these open innovation testbeds provide an important element in the EU ecosystems for research and innovation. And they can reach their full potential if they are interconnected. And today's workshop is also about this interconnection, so that they can provide integrated support to innovators at different stages of their development. We expect that this network of European open innovation testbeds reach out and deliver services to many users, especially small and medium-sized enterprises. and that in a sustainable way. That is for longer years, also beyond the end of the project duration. And with it, these testbeds will provide improved industrial productivity and accelerate innovation in their specific dedicated domains. And we also expect that this will facilitate the access to follow-up funding, finance in the different stages then of development. And this is already happening. We are very proud of this, and I do thank my team behind all these projects. You will hear in this workshop today a bit more how the open innovation testbeds are already delivering their services to industry and boost innovation. Let me just briefly highlight that something extraordinary also happened in light of the current pandemic. To help tackle the COVID-19 pandemic, 3 of these testbeds, SAFE, NMedTech, TBMed, and MDOT, launched an open call for expression of interest to include new case studies in their ongoing projects. Innovative SMEs, companies, startup, and applied research institutions were able to apply to this joint call. And the 3 projects have, with that, increased the resilience and shown the flexibility we have, and allocated part of their budgets in order to provide services to the medical device developers, helping them to reach the market faster. And we do see in that crisis, we have never had such an acute awareness how critically important research and innovation are for all of us here and across the globe. So this call from the 3 testbeds was opened in September, and in a very short period of time, quite a good number, 30 applications were received, and a couple of them, 9 proposals selected. And these projects are currently running. And I'm sure they will contribute to ending this pandemic. And that's not all. Other projects are also opening calls to test their services and help industry. Let me mention here OITBs, like Culture and Leabed. You will hear about them later in this afternoon in this workshop. So if you look ahead, the new program, Horizon Europe, the first calls for the years, this year and next year, will be published very soon. I can already say that the support to open innovation testbeds will continue. We will fund something which is at the heart of our priorities at European level, with the ambition, the Green Deal, you all know, the ambition to become the first climate neutral continent, with now a very healthy international competition from the United States, Russia, China, which is underlining the lead we have taken, and we should stay in this lead. So the topic we have selected for a new open innovation testbed is about decarbonizing industry. And then it will essentially focus on scaling up breakthrough and market creating innovation support to the enhancement of European ecosystems as part of the overall EU innovation system. And that brings me to my last point. The Commission will adopt tomorrow the update of the industry strategy. In March 2020, so last year, just a week before the World Health Organization declared the pandemic, we issued an industrial strategy, and tomorrow we will provide an update, taking the lessons we have learned in this 1 year of pandemic. And the lessons are really that the single market matters. If borders are closed, if there's no free movement of goods, we all suffer. Secondly, we are critically dependent in some areas. So we have mapped the goods on which we are in areas where we are dependent on imports in a way which is not healthy. And this is particular, and it's no surprise, it's about pharmaceutical products, ingredients, and it is about materials needed for the energy transition. And the third element, very important also for our discussions here today and tomorrow, is about accelerating the green and digital transition. So that is in that context that I see you can do via the tool of the Open Innovation Testbeds, substantial contribution to what we call what we have structured in different ecosystems at European level, where we use all tools available to the EU. So the contributions we see from the Open Innovation Testbeds are in particular increasing European competitive and technological leadership, keeping our leadership and building on it, building up and strengthen the digital capacity and capabilities, supporting the move to climate neutrality and circularity, and finally, embedding the spirit of industrial innovation. And if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend have a look at our Industry 5.0 concept, which reflects this ambition of industry taking the lead to sustainability, but also with human centricity at the starting point. With that, I come to the end of this very short introduction. Thank you for being here. I'm very much looking forward to the presentations and your discussion and your input, your challenges also to us, and your interaction to make Europe a bit stronger in these special moments. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much for the very nice and very good overview and introduction. And I'm really, really happy to hear that the support for the Open Innovation Testbed will continue, because the journey is definitely not yet done. So thank you very much. Would you be happy to answer one or two questions if we have some? Yeah,
sure.
So please, everyone who has a question, the way to go is, please, for simplicity, put your questions to the chat, yeah, so that we as the moderators can ask the questions in the name of the people, in the name of the audience, in the name of the participants. So do we have a question to Peter for the very first moment? If not, I hope, Peter, you will stay with us a little while, and we will see. We'll be able to ask questions later on that. And with that, I want to thank you again for your very nice introduction, very good overview. And I would like to immediately hand over to the next speaker. The next speaker, Rudolf Ritschek from Amires, is working in this open innovation testbed field and also the digital innovation hubs and other innovation networks for a while already. And will tell us a little bit about why open innovation testbeds and how this can help the industry. Rudolf, you want to introduce yourself with a few words, and then, yeah, just please go ahead, and please, everyone, be reminded to put your questions to the chat, and then we will have time to discuss. Yeah, Rudolf, it's your turn.
Thank you very much, John. Just a quick check before. Do you see my screen? Do you see the presentation? Is everything fine?
I see it well, and please, after finishing the presentation, don't click pause sharing, but click stop sharing. This was my mistake a few minutes ago. Sorry for that.
No worries. We'll try to do that. Okay, thanks a lot. So yeah, so I'm a founder of Amires, a consulting company for supporting innovation, mainly through partnerships. So we are in this business since 12 years. And actually, since the very beginning, we are dealing with what is the common denominator of open innovation testbeds. That's how I see this. With this, of course, I would like to thank you for invitation. I'm very happy to be ready to present the satellite event of ENF as well, especially in this very prominent position after Peter Droll. So Yes, so it is relatively challenging to speak about the OITBs as a service for industry. Why? Because there is no common agreement on what OITB should exactly look like, how it should be organized. So there are a lot of different forms, there are a lot of different facets, but what they have in common is this creation and management of European value chain. And what I mean by this, you will see in this quick presentation I'm going to show you. If we look into the Horizon 2020 supported projects, and in a certain technological field, in this case, it is the lightweight composite ecosystem, but it doesn't really matter because no matter where we go in these 25 OITBs, they will probably have very similar network right now. And you see the orange dots, those are the companies involved. So in every of these fields, we have something like 40 to 50 companies which are involved in these European fundings, and about 50% of them would be SMEs. And if we look into how these projects are distributed along European regions, we will see that some regions are profiting more from building these European value chains. And if we then look for the GDP per capita in these regions, you practically can correlate these two figures, and we can see that mainly those are the richest regions which are profiting from getting the support. So far, this is okay, there's no problem, because we know that Horizon 2020 was always based on the merits, on the excellency, and so it is not a cohesion policy making tool. But where we see the problem is for the companies, where we can have a look into the next slide. So actually, by these fundings, we are supporting only the early innovators and early adopters and innovators. So it's only about 20% which actually get access to this highest innovative tools and also infrastructure, which we are speaking about today. And about 80% of these companies are not getting a clear access there. And here we have practically one solution how to do it. And the main challenge would be how to push this European know-how, this European capacity to work together through this early majority and late majority. And I would even dare to say that the faster we will ensure that this adoption will be happening through the whole adoption circle, part of the companies, the higher will be the competitiveness of European companies, and the higher will be the more likely will be the successful story of this transition to the knowledge-based economy. Now, how to do it? So again, it's not to redo the things again and again, but we need to think about how we can replicate stories which were already developed maybe in some project, how we can use the infrastructure which was already developed, which is already in place somewhere else. So this is, of course, not the story only of the network of Horizon 2020, but the same dots are scattered around Eureka program, Eurostars program, then also in the national programs. And we have a lot of capacities built by structural funds. And here again, how we can connect these dots, how we can do the audit, who's doing what. We need to do this very detailed analysis of who these dots are, and in particular, what they can bring to the specific value chain. In this case, I'm showing you a proprietary solution we developed, and we are mapping, in this case, flexible and variable electronics competencies. But we can very easily deploy it in any other field. And I can tell you that it is a very useful tool, which is not only generating a discussion between the individual parties in this ecosystem, so it creates traffic on the platform, but it generates a lot of interest which goes to our inboxes, and we are then building these European value chains, either for the European project, but very more and more also in the B2B environment. So if you're interested, don't hesitate to look into these ecosystems. And what is the message I would like to convey here is that we offer this opportunity. We are even ready to pay for the companies or the organizations which are ready to build these ecosystems with us. We are not alone in this. Here I picked up some pictures, which some of them you know, some of them are coming from DG Connect. And we realized that actually the technological mapping will not be sufficient. The more and more you see that we are involved in this type of organizational innovation projects from 2016, and the more we are towards the recent ones, that we see that the technology is actually only one block. More and more growing need we have for skills and trainings, we have it for business services, and we have it for ecosystem services. What I mean in particular, for example, for business services, is that if we have interesting innovation, which company, either on the demand or on supply side of this, can or is willing to introduce in the market, then they may have also questions related to financing, for example, private financing. So we can have this type of support, whether we go launch a crowdfunding action, whether we do launch a mezzanine financing, whether we launch a management buyout and then launch a venture capital rounds. And these connections are extremely valuable for our company. So it's not only the question how I can access this know-how which was developed somewhere else, but it's also who can help me with finding the finances. And here the lesson learned from the DG Connect is that we need the absolute implementation capacity on the regional level. This is this ecosystem part. We see that now DG Connect even initiated this new program generation, this Digital Europe, which is supposed to bring this, in their case, technologies, the digitization technologies like cyber-physical systems, like high-performance computing, like AI, and so on, to these 80% of companies. And this is our challenge here in OITBs, but also in Digital Innovation Hub, future European digital innovation hubs. So, of course, as I was saying, there's a lot of ways how to do things. But for the moment, it seems like many OITBs, they are going to have a similar structure from this perspective, that there might be an automatic part which is operating with little effort from, let's say, which is demanding a personal interaction. But then we have very often these highly specialized requests, which are coming from customers. And these special requests go to this single entry point, which is supposed to be an orchestrator of the whole ecosystem, and in which situation the service has to be absolutely highly customized. So in order to avoid fragmentation, we need to have this pool of suppliers. We would need to do the qualification of those. So the SEP is somebody who can listen to the customer. So this is more business development role. And at the same time, it will be kind of a supply chain management role. And through this qualification, the single entry point can provide the best solution for the team, for the customer. And what I mean by this best team for the solution is, of course, the best competences, best time for delivery, and of course, the most optimal cost structure. So it is a kind of a multi-site platform business, but we are absolutely certain that the digital platform will not be enough. This role of the single entry point is absolutely essential as an orchestrator of this. In order to provide the best value for the demand and supply side, the single entry point can, of course, provide the feedback and also a kind of a quality control for the services. This sounds good. I think that we are all absolutely convinced that this may work. The only challenge is that this business is relatively new. There is a lot of challenges. If somebody succeeds, also it can be a success factor. But we see that each of these bullet points, which is here, will practically generate hours, but maybe also days or weeks of discussion before we reach a certain consensus. There won't be a consensus on everything. Therefore, it is also obvious that there will be a competition which will provide similar services to the companies, but the only companies and the only SEPs which will succeed will be those which will deliver great and which will be delivering fast. It will require the new specific job profile, and this is again where Amiras plans to do the part of the job, because we are aspiring to be the SEP for some of these OITBs or other similar organizations. With this, let me conclude with 4 main messages which I would like to convey for successful OITB. We need to enable replication of the technologies and the capacities we have. We need to connect the dots around Europe for creating the value, and we need to deliver. And this is the most important. We need to learn by doing, by delivering to our companies. With this, I would like to thank you for your attention. I hope I help you to a little bit understand what the OITB is and how it will bring the value to the industry. Thank you very much, John.
So yeah, Rudolf, thank you very much to you for the very good overview, the very nice overview, and also for clearly stating what we need. Is there any question from the audience? I see I have certain questions. I believe the question that we have here from Mats Broden is still for Peter, correct? Mats, can you comment shortly? I think it's not ready.
I could come in anyway.
Yeah, it's for Peter. Yeah, it is also for you, Peter. Yes.
Well, I think Rudolf has already answered partly. It's mainly for the consortia to sort this out, and the single entry point is the user interface, but you need also, of course, as a consortium in an open innovation testbed, organize your own cooperation. And there we have a lot of good experience to build on, and you are all, you know, probably better than myself how to do that. But Rudolf raised a very important point, and I don't know how robust your data is that with the open innovation test beds, more than 80% of those later adopters or even laggards would not be benefiting from the test beds. This is a huge challenge. I mean, I don't know about how robust the data is, but I'm sure it is a real issue. And this is a question to all of you here in this workshop. What can we do to accelerate the knowledge transfer, the knowledge valorization across Europe and across different company structures? What can we do to increase the overall value creation? And this has certainly to do with sharing. We have this action under the new European research area, which is about knowledge valorization. But I would be very curious to hear, perhaps also at the end of the workshop and the end of your discussions, whether you see a need for a specific push also from our direction, from our level, to accelerate the reach out to those who are not the first and fastest movers.
Thank you very much. Very good answer for that, and really it was nice to see that there is also some discussion starting in the chat. Yeah, about that. Dirk Brückner here told us that from our experience, it's necessary to find the right business model first and then the market-oriented partners. Very nice answer. So any further comments to either Rudolf or Peter? I don't see it at the moment. No further questions, and I want to thank you.
Maybe I have, John, when I have this opportunity to speak and having also possibility to ask, I will of course use this opportunity to Peter mainly, because I know that it's very difficult to speak about the future plans, about the continuation support of OITB, and I don't think that in principle we should do it per se, but from my feeling, this regional involvement is very essential. we have a lot of companies which are struggling both on the demand and supply side, which are not connected to the European capacities. And this is also, I'm sitting in Switzerland right now. We are having exactly the same type of discussion with this development economic in the region. And we have, each country has about 100, maybe 400 high-tech and manufacturing companies which are not yet connected to Europe, to the European projects, to the OITBs. Do you foresee any action, any political tactics where we can really improve this?
Yes, it would be nice. A short answer, please, Peter. Short answer, please. Thank you very much for the question.
I try to be short and on a highly complex issue. We're talking here about place-based innovation, the need for proximity, and the question how to link and connect with global markets. It's even beyond the EU. So what we think is what we can do is not only to share with member states and regions best practices of how to connect and how to valorize knowledge and technology transfer as one element, but also to set up some specific tools. I'm talking here about how to manage intellectual property, and we will come up with a code for conduct, how to do that, but also standards. Standards in the broadest sense can be really instrumental. So these are things, concrete policy actions, which we have decided to do, and they're coming. They're included in the European Research Area Strategy I mentioned. But as I mentioned, I would be open to do more under Horizon Europe for the broadening of the outreach of testbeds, if that is a real need.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you also from my side. And with that, we have the introductory part of the session already done. Thanks to both of you for very nice insights, and thanks to everyone who asked a question on this. And we will go now directly into the question, what does the industry, what do potential customers, potential users expect from an open innovation testbed? And we have invited multiple companies, and 5 of them will be speaking now with about 7 minutes presentation or overview. And I would like to give at first the word to Sonai, Marlos Silva. Marlos, would you please introduce yourself in short, and then start with your expressions and with your information you want to share with us. Marlos, are you here?
Of course.
Okay,
of course,
then yes. I give the word to you, and please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. There is more than 100 people, or almost 100 people here, so it's very good. Thank you for being here. I would like to compliment Peter and Rudolf for their first introductory speeches, so very good. Thank you very much for that. So I don't have any presentation, just a little bit of speak from the heart. It's a little bit of time that I have to share with you some views. But I start to say what is Sonai. Sonai is a large economic group in Portugal, one of the biggest ones. We have several different businesses divided in different subholdings. We are in telecom, industry, shopping malls, but we have a very significant footprint in retail, and especially food retail. And it's that business actually that comes together with this great consortium, I believe, which is the Flex Function to Sustain. And we got involved not only because it is a great consortium that brings excellent research and excellent companies together, but also because it has an approach, materialized by an OITB, that we think it might help to fill the gap. The gap, and Peter, I think he mentioned that, how to accelerate the transition between technology, between science, and the use for the companies. When it comes to material science, and that's the scope of the project Flex Function to Sustain, it's inevitable to talk about packaging. And as I mentioned before, we at Sonai, we are a large retailer. We are the leaders in food retail. in Portugal. Therefore, we are very committed to reduce our environmental footprint, not only in our operations, but throughout the whole supply chain. And we have some commitments, public commitments that we have to eliminate single-use plastics, for example, to increase the use of recyclable packaging, reusable packaging, compostable packaging, things like that. But we see a big challenge ahead of us, because the plastic itself, it's a great material. When it comes to food, it's an excellent material. So it was light, it's durable, it's cheap, it's very good to preserve food. Mostly it is recyclable, and it actually doesn't use so many natural resources. We believe that what happened to plastic, it had a bad utilization. It was often combined with other products, which made recycling very difficult. We didn't create, as a society, processes and capabilities to collect, to sort, and to recycle all those plastics. And it originated a problem. So everybody knows that plastic packaging specifically now often ends in ocean, in landfills, intoxicating our ecosystem and consequently human beings. So we are very committed to tackle this problem, and we believe that by engaging a project like that with this kind of consortium that actually can bring capabilities of how to turn science into practical solutions that can be used by companies, in this case specifically in the food retail sector, and in the food sector, we believe that's the way to go. And joining the Flex Function to Sustain, we are looking at plastic substitutes. We're looking at functional packaging that can be coming from biodegradable sources to replace some of the materials that we use throughout our supply chain with our suppliers. We're looking at different materials, not plastic. We're looking at paper that can present, for example, different technical capabilities that can be used for a broader number of products in food retail. Meaning that we don't lose functionality of the packaging, we don't hurt quality, we don't hurt food safety, but we have something that is more environmental friendly. So that's what we're looking for. And we see a very important role here of this OITB ecosystem. We feel that for anything related to food science, sometimes it's very hard to have what we call the technology takers. So those are the companies that actually are able to turn some technology, some science into a business. Because talking from the point of view of an end user, we love science, we support science, but we don't purchase science. We need to purchase solutions. And I think the OITB can turn that science into practical solutions, so they can turn into a business. And being a business means this is sustainable, and being sustainable, it means it can solve a variety of problems of companies like ours. So we see this as a very significant role of the OITB, and having the task to bring some companies and to comprehensively adopt those technologies that comes from the science and turn them into solutions. We look at, as well, to the OITB into a service provider. Why not? So I think it's important. We're talking about packaging, so legislation still on the table. So there are a lot of talks. Standardization. Go ahead, John.
Okay, just the time. Just want to tell you that we are up of time.
Yeah, I'm just wrapping up. So standardization, it's important. And as a service provider as well, to scale up, for example, some of those technology. And of course, we see a lot of further collaboration, not only from the OITB in the Flex Function to Sustain, but others that can actually bring what I just said, the acceleration of innovation and science to the market.
Thank you. This is a very, very nice last sentence to bring science to the market. I would like to do it that way that we collect the questions for the end of this session. So we will hear all 5 speakers, and then you have the opportunity to ask questions directly to some speakers or to everyone. Manas, thank you very, very much for the very nice introduction. I really appreciate, especially the last sentence. We don't want to buy science, but we want to buy solutions. Okay, next speaker, Quentin Pankhurst from RCL, Resonance Circuits Limited, Business Director. And Quentin, please also introduce yourself in short, and then go ahead, showing us in about 7 minutes the overview.
Thank you very much. So my name is Quentin Pankhurst. I'm the co-founder and chair of the board of directors of Resonance Circuits Limited. I'm going to give you a little bit of our experience of working with an OITB with safe nanomedtech, the safety testing of nanotechnology enabled medical technologies. So to give you a little bit of an idea of who we are a company that is a small startup working in the field of thermotherapy for treatment of prostate cancer. And our product is a magnetic fluid which is injected directly into a tumor. And then we apply a time-varying magnetic field to increase the temperature of the magnetic particles and thereby treat through heat the tumor and improve treatments thereby. So our product is this. It's an iron dextran composite material, which is a solid dispersion in an isotonic water for injection. So as a medical technology startup, we don't have the internal expertise of large companies to cover all of the aspects related to the safe product development of our product and to take it through to MDR compliance for CE marking, which is our ultimate objective. We need clear and uncomplicated advice and solutions. And ideally, we'd like to be working with a single source supplier, a one-stop shop. We have had some experience with contract research organizations and test houses to date. And it's been very clear that their attitude is, you tell us what to do, we'll do it. We'll do it to all of the standards you could possibly want. We'll do it by the book, and you will have a report at the end of it, which is absolutely correct. But you tell us what to do. And we're in a position where it's not so easy for us to tell them what to do. We fall outside the comfort zone. Now, to give you an idea of what I mean by that, we have challenges with regard to the biocompatibility testing of our product. So our product is a suspension of inorganic nanoparticles in water. For us, it's quite logical. From a regulatory perspective, the attitude is, what? What on earth is that? Is it a drug, or is it a device, or what is it? It's intended for interstitial use, and it's not intravenous. And again, we find that people are astonished that it's in a syringe, but it's not going into the bloodstream. The carrier is water only, and the idea is it's just there as a carrier. It's to take the particles into the tumor, and then the particles are the actual medical device. So one example is, how do we treat this as per the industry standard biocompatibility standard ISO 10993. Now, so what happens when you go to the CRO or the test house, they will turn to the page of the standard, and they will look at this table: standard surface areas and extract liquid volumes. And it's very clear, if you are a film or a sheet or a slab of material, they can tell you what your extraction ratio, the surface area or mass volume ratio, should be for the testing. And you can see here, you can either have this in centimeters squared per milliliter or grams per milliliter. Now, when we look at this, a logical approach for us would be to regard our product as a powder. And then we get a figure for this, that we should be having suspending our powder in a solution at 0.2 grams per milliliter. So that's the recommended extraction ratio. But we haven't just got a powder, we've got a nano powder, nanoscale powder. And nanoparticles are small. And because they're small, they have a very high surface area to volume ratio. So in actual fact, our product at 0.2 gram per mil corresponds to 55,000 square centimeters per milliliter is the surface area to volume ratio. We are in a completely different testing regime to that which is intended and envisaged in the standard, where the highest they go to is 6 centimeters squared per milliliter. What then is the recommended best practice? And this is something that we very much struggle with. Now, one of the reasons that we are therefore happy to be working with the OITB is the following. Our product is not easily classified, and it requires expert cross-disciplinary input to resolve and justify the positions we should take. And this is where we see working with a group of experts so that we can get sign-off from experts as to the decisions that we take and the positions that we take is being vital. Is beyond what is being offered currently by CROs and test houses. In addition to this, the OITB that we're working with has got specialist regulatory support, it's got specialist health technology assessment support, so that both from for all of the testing that we need to do, from the physicochemical, morphological, topological, sort of basic characterization of the material, through the in vitro testing, through the in vivo testing, and actually all the way through to clinical testing, first in man. This is part of the OITB. Now, even if a client like ourselves is only taking advantage of a part of that offering of the OITB, the fact that the OITB is seeking to cover the whole pathway, right from design input all the way through to clinical testing, is important because it underpins a really connected thinking approach to offering us the service. They are already thinking about the end product as you start talking to them about your very first idea. So from our perspective, this is part of this particular OITB's unique selling point. Alongside their specialist knowledge in nanotech, medtech, that's what makes it attractive to a startup like RCL. Okay, thank you very much. I'll stop sharing that.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much for this very nice overview, and especially the summary. So you really say is what's really needed and what should an OITB provide is this interdisciplinary connected thinking. This is really something I really like. Thank you very much for the overview.
You're welcome.
Again, we will collect the questions. If you have questions, please put them in the chat, and we will be able to answer them in the end of this session. And meanwhile, we will directly continue with Johannes Maurice Jepsen from Stryker, project engineer for research and development. And Johannes, I would like to say that you please again also introduce yourself in short and go ahead and provide what you expect from an open innovation testbed. Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm just trying to put up my slides, so I hope that everybody can see them. But before I start things, I want to thank Quentin for his very nice presentation, because I think it is a very great example of something that somebody in the medical device business is confronted on a daily basis when they're dealing with new innovative technologies where standards are not necessarily applicable and you are facing a huge question mark. And so, yeah, thank you very much, Quentin. So, yeah, my name is Johannes Maurice Jepsen. I work as a project engineer for the Stryker Trauma GmbH in Northern Germany. And I've been part of we have been part of the same OITB Quentin has just referred to. And we had the pleasure for the last 24 months to work with a group of very special people. And yeah, today I wanted to give you some insights on how we view the future of these entities and what we've been doing so far. However, to start things off, I wanted to give you a short introduction. Oops, I have to see this really quickly. Oops, oops. Yeah, there we go. Brief introduction to Stryker. Who are we and what do we do? And subsequently, I would like to give a brief illustration what we promise ourselves in being part of Safe and MedTech. And finally, I would like to highlight what we consider the future role of these entities to be. So Stryker is an international corporation with locations, facilities all around the world. So it's quite the opposite of RCL. Yet we're faced with the same challenges. So personally, I'm part of the Trauma and Extremities Division, and we are in particularly located in Kiel, Germany, which is all the way up north. And here's a little image of the location I'm stationed at. This is a small town in Schönkirchen. It has a very long history dating back almost 75 years ago. And so here, actually, a surgical technique referred to as intramedullary nailing was developed. So there's a lot of heart, blood, and sweat in this building. So yeah. Stryker Trauma and Extremities. So what do? We provide a variety of different solutions for the treatment of long and small bone fractures, as well as reconstructive extremity solutions. So in short, we offer implants for all different types of clinical applications, ranging all the way from the upper to the lower extremities. And as I've mentioned before, particularly in Kiel, the development activities focus heavily on intramedullary nails. And based on the motto of our company, we help our customers rebuild lives. We are looking to improvement of our product portfolio, either through new implant designs, instruments to optimize usability and workflows, new surface technologies to enhance implant interactions with the surrounding tissues. And as Quentin has pointed out, we are continuously challenged by a continuously changing regulatory framework, which in itself is very gray, very unspecified, and at times very unpredictable. And this is particularly true for nano-enabled technologies. And this is also the entrance for Safe and MedTech. So as a large medical device company, there are multiple reasons for us to join an OITB. First of them being, we are of course always interested to get in touch with new people, in particular if they are leaders in their respective fields, and which can help us to get a better understanding during a crisis, or not a crisis, but a difficult situation. Secondly, I love the opportunity to observe, or as I like to call it, keep the finger on the pulse of time, listen, and understanding the thinking process of others is worth a lot, especially if we try to keep up with the state of the art and latest scientific practice. Third, we want to learn, in particular about the assessment of biological safety of nanoparticles, as this is uncharted territory for everybody and nobody really knows where the journey is going. But this really extends beyond this, because it's not only safety, this goes also into efficacy testing and even the preparation of representative test materials, as Quentin has pointed out. And we are kind of living in this industrial research bubble, which may not have the necessary capacities. Again, not all the methods are standardized, which might be suitable or necessary to actually tackle the questions we are facing on a daily basis. But finally, we don't want to be the guys only listening and taking. Also, we consider it important to provide continuous feedback from the industry in order to show them what are actually the requirements that we have. We want to highlight our needs and also the business opportunities. And I think this is also what Marlos was referring to. We have to turn research into solutions that help us to build a bridge between research and industry, so we can actually close the gap between a proof of concept and a product that could potentially help our society. Yeah, going on. So moving into the future, we believe that there is actually an essential need for OITBs, and the 4 pillars being, I think, and they combine expertise and opinions of leading specialists and provide a strong basis for whatever they offer. It can be everything. It is very rare that you have a combination and synthesis of multiple experts in such a way, and it has helped tremendously. Secondly, with the combination and combined expertise, OITB should be confident and help define the future. And this, what I mean by this, is develop new and recognized standards, methods, and guidance documents for industry that can help the future. And if we're talking more about specific offerings to clients, they can provide consultation to really tackle problems everybody is facing. And of course, provide testing capacities where we can actually combine the state-of-the-art research and standardized testing. And it is simply a powerful offer to build this bridge between science and standardized research. And so pretty much the conclusion, what I try to say is that OITBs should not be mistaken for just another CEO, they are more. And this would be it from my side. Thank you very much. And if there are any
perfectly on time. This is really this last sentence, perfectly on time and a perfect message. Thank you very, very much. Again, I here have a question on this. You see a screen that is probably not intended to be shared. Yeah. Okay. It happened to me as well. Anyway, thank you very, very much for the very nice insight from a large company. I have a question to you. I will keep it for the Q&A session. Yeah? Meanwhile, give the next speaker the opportunity to say a few words. The next speaker will be Joanna Paiva from ILOF. ILOF is the CTO from ILOF. Joanna, yeah, I'm happy to have you here. We were a little bit concerned in the beginning of the session, but it's nice to see you. And yeah, please introduce yourself and go ahead presenting your company and your expectations in the hardest way you can do it. Expectations towards an OITB. Are you here?
Yes, yes. Hello. Hi, John. Hi, all. So I'm trying to share my screen, just a few minutes.
Definitely, yes.
Okay, perfect. So hi to all. It's a pleasure to be here and share some experience about the interaction with OITBs and telling a little bit more about ILOF and about our product. So my name is Joanna, as John mentioned, so I'm the CTO and co-founder of ILOF. So in order to explain you a little bit what ILOF is doing right now, so ILOF is currently a product that joins together photonics technologies with artificial intelligence. So basically what we are doing, we are using fiber optics technology. So we use a highly focused laser beam that is guided through an optical fiber and is injected into the patient's blood. So we collect patient samples that are diagnosed based on gold standard methods, and we collect an optical fingerprint, so a scanning of this patient's blood, and we capture through the highly focused laser beam, so the Brownian motions of small particles. So what we collect from this fingerprint is like a pattern that we associate with artificial intelligence methods that we host in our cloud-based library of disease fingerprints. So our algorithms are are completely agnostic to the biomarker that we are screening to. So we are having two type of approaches. So one approach is basically to target for a specific biomarker, for example, for detecting a specific protein peptide, as for example, Abeta42 or Abeta40 that are biomarker specific for Alzheimer diagnosis. But we are also agnostic to this peptide, and we are trying to build a fingerprint that is specific for a specific disease. Like, for example, for the Alzheimer's disease, so we receive samples that were from patients that were diagnosed based on PET scan or lumbar puncture. That is the gold standard method for Alzheimer's diagnosis, and we collect this physics-based model of the patient's blood specific for Alzheimer's diagnosis. Very recently, we are collaborating with the IOTB that is under the scope of Enough for COVID project that is led by INL, so an 11 integrated project, so that integrates 11 research centers and companies. So where we are trying to develop and apply this product to COVID-19 field. So we have been using this technology in several use cases. So our focus is Alzheimer's disease, but as I mentioned, we have also been applying this technology to the COVID-19 use case, and we have been applying and collaborating with these IOTBs for trying to predict the evolution of the infection in COVID-19 use case. So basically within the use case, so we are trying to, at the time of diagnosis, to see so if the patient would evolve in a severe or non-severe way. This is very, very useful for bed management in hospital care, and also for increase the predictive power of current state-of-the-art techniques, because considering the study that we have conducted with the Hospital São João, that is the biggest hospital currently here in Portugal that is receiving the highest number of cases of COVID-19. So we realized and we obtained so significant better results in comparison with the standard of care. So using our optical fingerprint and clinical metadata and also comorbidity analysis, we improved by 10%. And in 20%, so the sensitivity and the specificity of the of these prognosis methods regarding the standard of care, that is basically using the analytics-based methods and also using only the comorbidities that were giving sensitivities that in some cases, so about 25%, that is basically saying that a person having a comorbidity, it's basically evolving as a severe case. By having this interaction with OITBs, so is giving a lower acceleration rate for the development of our product in several mainstreams. One of the mainstream, it's about developing our user experience. So we are improving the performance of our methods by integrating metadata of the patients with the optical fingerprint that we obtain from the blood sample. So this is very important for our product in order to understand with a lot of clinical practices and clinical centers that IOTBs allow us to collaborate with to understand what are their user experiences. So device deployment and trying to see what is the usability of our product is also very important, and this interaction with OITBs is allowing us this test of our product in real scenarios.
Joanna, sorry, 1 minute, yeah?
Okay, just to wrap up, so this interaction with within the project of Enough for COVID, it's also allowing us to define our regulatory roadmap, because as we are in a medical certification and medical devices environment, we have a very challenging roadmap, company-wide and also product-wide, where we have we have to be a CE certification based products in IVDR, and also we have to aim like a company-wide certification as ISO 13485 and 27001. Just to wrap up, I believe that so these interactions are very important for also for productization wise, and also to allow a compliance with the certification standards that is like within the medical field. It is very important to allow the trust and also the confidence from our market.
Okay. Thank you, Joanna. Sorry for interrupting you a minute before, but just I need to look a little bit onto the time. So thank you very much for the good overview. Again, a medical topic. Very interesting. Also, the question that came in on that about regulatory aspects, but we will talk about this in the Q&A session. That much time we will have on it. The last speaker for this session is now Florian Schmidt from i3 Membrane. Florian, yeah, please go ahead, introduce yourself and give a short introduction on what you need from an OITB.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Florian. As CTO of the company i3 Membrane, I represent a typical small German SME with about 30 people working here. First, I will say some few words about the i3 Membrane business concept, then come to our new technology requirements, then say what we expect from an OITB and what we don't expect. First of all, let me show what i3 is all about. We started by finding that we can connect standard polymer membranes with surface technology. And the result is what we call switchable membranes. So we can bring electrical potential to the surface of a membrane and attract and dissolve or recover biomolecules that are charged. We started in 2015 and 16 with the first few samples here. And this was the first time that we came into contact with Fraunhofer FEP, who are also part of the Flex Function to Sustain project. With these first samples, we succeeded in attracting seed capital. Meanwhile, in 2018, we launched the first product. On the one side, medical devices, passive medical devices for ICUs. On the other hand, small filtration particle detection products for pharma analytics. And now in this Flex Function to Sustain project, this year we reached a milestone in succeeding or in getting the first roll-to-roll produced membranes. It's a must for us to address large-scale devices. So what do we expect from an OITB? I try to describe our action in a five-step process. First of all, in the initial moment, we need technical consulting on a high level. What we expect from OITB is a broad expert portfolios and the creation of ideas and a very customized support in the field of nanostructuring of membranes. Then the second step would be rapid prototyping, which in our case takes some months, 2 or 3 months to get those prototypes in order, and what we expect from the OITB is to offer a fitting technical solution and in a sufficient speed to our needs. We also needed these prototypes in order to get the seed capital for the next step of entering the industrialization of products. So the fourth step then would be you come to pilot runs, to pilot production. And the OITB role will be to choose the right source in between of different alternatives. And the last step then would be to plan and realize equipment in the highest possible degree of customization. So as John asked me to also say what we or what an OITB must not have, I try to compile this here a little bit. So you see the same 5 phases here. So we expect that the OITB in this first level does not stuck to only the own technology base, but is very focused on and is not focused on us as a customer and on our market. We don't expect the OITB to be academic, but really to be hands-on and focus on the business and solutions. We in the industrialization phase, we don't expect the OITB to just simply repeat or reuse available concepts, but to rethink their concepts. And in the next phase, it's maybe the most critical phase as it comes along with the question of invest, etc. We don't expect a lack of maturity. That's up to the OITB also to think together with us about getting the risks controlled and getting the things done for a validated process behind. And in the last phase, then the phase of getting into really production, we don't expect to not to be able to tell us if they can, if out of the OITB they can offer us a solution, or if we need to take more steps to get the according technology or the equipment done externally. So that's it more or less. Thanks for your attention.
Florian,
yeah.
Thank you very, very much for the very nice overview. I have taken one most important note, and this is continuously rethink your concept as an OITB. I really like this. And the second thing that I really found out, and you showed it on your slide 5, is about the timeline. Yeah, within 1 year, we are thinking about concepts for industrial processes and construction. It makes me a little bit, I would not say afraid, but really a challenge that we have to address with the OITB. I have some questions collected from different people to the presenters. And let me start. We have not much time, but I think we should do 3 or 4 questions. And the first question from Adriel Prinamello, general question to all presenters. It's open, we will answer. How can we work at bridging the current regulatory gaps to get more products approved? And this is probably more related to the medical companies, and that maybe who volunteers, Striker, I love, or please also Quentin, or even Marlos. Who wants to answer this? Otherwise, I would.
I could.
I can. Yeah, perfect, Quentin.
I think somebody in the chat, Matt, has suggested, could the regulators be intertwined as part of the EU innovation system? To my mind, they can be asked. But I think that the regulatory bodies have an interest in maintaining their own understanding of new technologies that are coming through, and I think that that they may be able to say themselves how they would like to interact with the across the whole of Europe. There is an opportunity there to set up a way of accessing the expertise that is there without providing any favoritism or doing anything that would influence competition across Europe. So I think that there's always that balance that they will need to meet, but I think it's up for them to say.
Thank you very much for the answer. Any other comment on this?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
as a final comment from my side, I think if you have such a interesting and well, like professional group of people, I think one should have the confidence to actually approach also, as Quentin said, the regulatory bodies to really show them what has been done or has been achieved. And it's not sitting in the basement and being silent about this, but rather again, have the confidence, because I think this is not that often that this is happening, right? That you have 4, 5, 6, or even 10 entities working together to define a new work practice.
Thank you very much for your answer as well. Any further answer, any further comment on this? If not, I have another question. I received a question from Hugo Metello Diogo, who wants to ask Marlos from Sonai the following thing. Sonai recently invested in the agriculture sector, creating production area in the south of Portugal. Agriculture is an emerging agri-food activity with a wide range of challenges. And the main question behind is, what are the challenges that Sonai Group identifies, and how could they be addressed? How could they be addressed by an OITB, or which of the challenges you would see to working together with OITB? Marlos, can you comment on this?
Yes, of course, yes, that's true. It's through a partnership, and we look at that as a way of reducing our CO2 footprint. This is a let me say an internal policy of Sonai. So we are reducing the timeline, so we be carbon neutral, things like that. So we are assuming those commitments. I think on OITB and in the fields of material science, in the fields of food science, especially, I think they have to be core, because we find very difficult to have structure or a number of companies available for scaling lab technologies, for example, to go through higher TRLs. And we cannot ask those for the CTOs and the universities, so those to produce science. It's not their job. So I think they need to be doing science. They don't need to be developing solutions. So from an end user point of view, it's really required to have those technology takers. So we are here to work with them to scaling up, but they should be the ones to turn that science into products, into solutions. And that's where I think the OITBs will have a very, very significant role from my lens, food science, material science. But of course, if you look at, health and so on, it's going to be a lot of opportunities here as well to OITB to fill that gap.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much. One last question. I know we are 2 minutes over time, but I want to bring this one last question that is directed again to Johannes from Stryker. Johannes, how is basically you're a large company, and the large companies a lot of experience the challenge between contracting external innovation partners and doing internal research within your own company. How's the policy at Stryker, and how do you see this conflict, and what is the tendency? Do you know any tendency in what direction it goes? More to external, more open, or still to we do everything on our own?
I think this is my personal perception, so I cannot, of course, speak for the overall project strategy of Stryker, and I think it's also not my place. However, I think it will be a healthy combination of everything. One will go externally to find new business opportunities and technologies. One will try to enhance its own product developments, because we have very great engineers who are very familiar and good with what they do. I think it really depends on the project, the overall business strategy. So I think there is no solution, but again, it's both internally, it's both externally.
Thank you very much for your quick answer, and that is also the moment. I'm sorry to you, Max. We must want to give the people the short break of about 6 minutes. Yeah, and maybe someone can answer the question directly in the chat that is given by Mats in the end. We have 6 minutes break. Thank you very much to this very nice and high quality and really, really showing the detailed demands presentations from everyone. Yeah, also to the OITB organizers that have contacted you to make up this program. Thank you very much. We have a 5-minute break, and at 25, we want to come back and start with the presentations of the OITB service portfolios. Yeah, have a good break and see you in 6 minutes when Marina will take over and moderate the upcoming session.
So I hope everyone join again the workshop. So welcome back. Can you hear me? I'm sorry to make this a regular question.
Perfect. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So now we will initiate this session on the open innovation test beds as a service to industry. So we closed the previous session with the end users of the OITB. So now we will deep in the services provided by this network. So my name is Marina Dias. Just to start with a brief introduction. So I'm a business and strategic relations officer at INL. And I will be moderating this session, which aims at showcase the services from the OITBs too. So to get to know more about the area of expertise of each existing OITB, what is their service portfolio, and what can customers get from these networks in terms of access to physical facilities, capabilities and services, testing, upscaling, and well, basically the development in industrial environments. I would also like to give a big thanks to all OITB representatives that expressed interest in joining this session. Happily, the number of expressions to pitch OITBs exceeded our expectations, but unfortunately, due to time limitations, we could not provide slots for all OITBs wishing to present. So we had to make a decision, and finally we gave priority to first and second generation OITBs this time. But again, there will be certainly other workshops like this, and more OITBs will have the opportunity to pitch their services. Just some basic housekeeping. So my role today will be mostly to make sure that everything runs on time. This session will count in total with presentations from 12 OITBs. There will be a break in the middle, meaning that we will have 6 OITBs presenting, followed by a time for question and answer. Then we will break for 5 minutes, and after that we will have the remaining 6 OITBs presenting. To the speakers, my request is to try to be strict in time. To the audience, please place any questions you may have on the chat window, and we will collect them to be answered after each of the 6 presentations. So without further delay, I will now introduce the first panel of speakers, which will bring to you 3 OITBs active in safety testing of medical technologies for health, and 3 OITBs for nano-enabled surfaces and membranes. So I'm happy to introduce to you the panel. It will start with Angel Del Pozo representing the Safe and MedTech OITB. We will have then Ulrike Floriep representing the MDOT, Andrea Eik from the TBMed, and then we will have the 3 OITBs from the nano-enabled surfaces and membranes, Carlos Del Castillo with the new skin, John Faltech with the Safe and MedTech, and Martin Smolka representing the next gene microfluidics. So I will handle the floor now to Angel. Angel, I think you can share your screen if you want.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Marina. Thanks a lot for all your effort on preparing the workshop today, and together with John and also with our support. So thank you very much for giving the opportunity to all the open innovation testbeds to cluster, let's say, or to connect. Do you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Okay.
Not in presentation mode, but yeah, now in
now it is right. What is the time available, Marina?
Well, 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay, 5 to 7 minutes.
Not exceeding 7 minutes, please.
Okay, I should even not go far from this first slide, because as you saw in the previous session with Stryker and RCL, I think that their voice was even more important than anything that I can tell you about the Systematic project, because of course the view of the client, let's say in this case, is the most important one, and they explicitly explain that the value that they find into the open innovation testbed. But I will try just to give you a little bit more insights on the project. I will try to be brief. As you see, we have an amazing team of people. It's the most important value of the project. You see there, the last time we could meet in Brussels before, the current situation. And what we are trying to build is an innovative open access platform to offer the companies, as you have seen, capabilities, know-how, network services that are required to develop, test, assess, upscale, prototype, and get to the market in order to exploit their nanotechnology-based medical and diagnostic devices. We are an open innovation testbed focused on medical technologies, as Marina mentioned, together with our nice colleagues at TVMed and MDOT. We are the three that were funded by the European Commission. We are 28 partners from three continents, because we wanted to include expertise from outside Europe in order to enhance market opportunities for the open innovation testbed, and vice versa, to open new market avenues for European developers. We include RTDs, SMEs, industries, governmental agencies, consultants at the different levels, universities, clinical sites. So we try to cover all the steps of the value chain when you are developing a nano-enabled medical technologies. As I mentioned always, and I said this morning in internal session, the N on Safe and MedTech stands for nanotechnology, as also has been explained by Quentin and Maui, because when we faced this need of an open innovation testbed for medical technologies, you have to do somehow a kind of segmentation of this huge market. You cannot probably not design or define an open innovation testbed that just from scratch is able to cover all the different classes of medical technologies, medical devices, IVDs, and their different needs and their different capabilities. So we decided to go for the thing that more or less we knew better, that was the nanotechnology applied into the medical technologies landscape. As you see, and I mentioned, we have a huge consortium and we have the needed expertise to try to cover all the needs that any potential client now at the project step, and afterwards, once we build the business, let's say, around the open innovation testbed, could require from us. There you have our vision, mission, and values. As vision, we envision a world where these nano-enabled medical technologies can really lead to practical developments, move from research or innovation to real solutions that can really benefit directly the health and the care for the patients. Of course, improve the quality of life for our citizens in Europe and across the world, but trying to keep, of course, safety on top of everything, and strengthen the position of these companies as economic drivers. Our mission, according to this vision, is to set out the mission of provide this single entry point that is, by definition, the main goal of any open innovation testbed, where we can offer through this open single entry point, this one-stop shop, all our catalog of services that can range from pure characterization, pure in vitro, in vivo, clinical research, regulatory, health technology assessment. So we can really develop a tailor-made package of services for our clients that they can join our open innovation testbed proposal at any of the steps depending on their TRL. And our main values, of course, are curiosity, innovation, creativity, rigor, effectiveness, cooperation, because this is all about connecting people and building networks and integrating capabilities. The work packages in the project are those that define what we can do and what we will be able to do in the future. We have the first layer represented by the work package 1, where we try to engage with the clients and get to an initial classification of their technology, evaluate the data that they already have, and get to a technical proposal for the future development. We have a strong physicochemical characterization and preclinical packages that work really together and are outstanding with the best experts in Europe, I would say, about the nanotechnology. So we are able to try to address the needs that our clients saw before, as you have seen, because this is a landscape where things are not always clear. This is coupled to biomanufacturing capabilities, health technology assessment. This means how your technology is going to engage in the future with the real world, with the needs from the clinical systems, supported by also clinical evaluation possibilities and regulatory and ethics assessment. We also work towards the Medical Technologies Innovation Hub, where we will give support to the entrepreneurs to move ahead with their technologies. We have 4 test cases in the project. You have seen 2 of them, so I will not go into more details. We have assigned a partner to each test case so they can act as a key account manager, because we think that in the future for our business development, this figure would be crucial. Having somebody knowing really well the technology, but also understanding really well the capabilities behind the open innovation test that we can offer to the client. So you see there the cases together with the test case managers. And the other 2 that you don't know, one is a coating to avoid contamination of medical devices and maybe promote the future remanufacturing and reuse of single-use medical devices. And the other one is a so complex biomonitoring system that can be used at intensive care units or to monitor different important biomarkers. Main achievements until now, we are practically developed this interface to interact with the clients, also with automated decision support systems and other inputs. So we can, in the future, when we open to external clients, including the open calls, we can easily interact with them. We have defined an integrated matrix of physicochemical characterization and preclinical testing. This has led to a really big catalog of services that we can offer in an integrated way. We have also identified the needs for scale-up and manufacturing and who can deal with this into an outside consortium, advancing providing services for our test cases, and we have performed an open call for COVID-19 solutions. And we will do one more open call, so anyone that would like to apply, you will receive the news in the future. So there you have some testimonials from people that is working for and into the project. That of course everybody is really happy, as you have seen also with our colleagues from the previous talks. And just to there you can find how to engage with us. And just to summarize, I think that the important offer from our side is what our colleagues mentioned before. Trying to go beyond the pure consultancy or the pure CRO activities and becoming a proactive partner to the industry. So helping them to find solutions, not only waiting for the request, but being proactive in filling the gaps in the standards and also in really trying to understand their needs and how to progress in this sense. This is all. I think that I more or less got the time under control.
Thank you, Angel, for bringing to us these services for safety testing of nano-enabled medical technologies. So again, for the audience, please write down your questions in the chat window. We will then answer them at the end of the session. I will now give the stage to Ulrich Floriep, who will present the MDOT Medical Obligations Task Force. Ulrich, I guess you can share your presentation.
Yes. That's the obvious question, does this work?
Yeah, it's working. We can see it.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Marina, and all the organizers. I think this is really a great opportunity also to have the feedback from the industry partners before. I really enjoyed that. My name is Ulrich Floriep. I'm the coordinator of the MDOT project, and I work at Fraunhofer ITEM. MDOT is a one-stop network for medical device obligations that are to be fulfilled for CE marking. We are a quite diverse consortium of universities, research institutes, and also several companies, including consulting already in the consortium, which helps a lot to bring device developments towards the market. One I would say the biggest difference between us and Safe and MedTech is that our focus is different. It's less nano, it's more on other developments that can be seen here. One key focus of ours is everything with inhalers and inhalation technologies, for example, breath-activated inhalers and delivery systems, including respective test beds that model breathing characteristics. We do a lot of materials testing and characterization, including solid materials such as metals and alloys, and also soft towards polymer-based materials. We have an emphasis on implant technologies, in particular on coating to reduce wear, together with tribological modeling and hip simulator testing. And last but not least, we do 3D printing of polymer-based neural implants, which also has exciting challenges in the regulatory pathways. And all of these technologies where we feel at home are very much complemented and guided together with conformity assessment and the regulatory affairs aspect. And since we really enjoy also digitization and database programming, we combine all of these aspects with that as well, meaning anything that we can do digital, we attempt to also really do that digital. That brings me to our key services. As I said, it's quite a diverse consortium. We have a lot of consultation in the value chain, so you can develop a regulatory strategy, including technology consultation. We can offer device development into clinical prototypes, of course, the materials focus. We can characterize materials. We may be able to find materials you could use in novel devices, and we prepare materials libraries. We do testing and test development, as I said, with a focus on inhalation, which is quite interesting in terms of events during the last year. We can do hip simulator testing according to ISO. We developed life cycle testing for implants, both in vitro and in vivo, and we also assess biocompatibility testing according to ISO 10993, up to where everybody wants to go into clinical evaluation, clinical reviews, and also testing. We in fact can test in the clinic with preterm neonates, which is not very common. Our services and USPs, what you can get is the knowledge of the requirements to get into the market, which enables you to get quickly into the market. We have a wide reach network, including contacts in the United States and Asia, so FDA and so on is also in the focus. We are strong in consultation. As I said, the regulatory strategy is something that everybody should have, and not everybody has it, which is unfortunate. We can provide data from our libraries and from our materials testing. We have several test beds. We develop methods which makes it affordable, and we identify equivalent devices or materials from our databases to ease the market entry of medical devices. With that, that's what I wanted to say about MDOT, and I thank you for your attention, and feel free to contact me for anything that might have excited you in what I had said. Thank you.
Thank you, Ulrich, for this introduction of the MDOT services. I will now give the stage then to Andrea Eck, who will present us the TB-Med, a testing bed for the development of high-risk medical devices. Andrea, tell us more about the TB-Med. I hope you can share your screen now.
That's what I'm trying right now. Just 1 second.
Sure.
Somehow it doesn't go.
If you can share it, Andrea, I think I have your presentation, so.
Let me just try once more because it's just that the presentation is not appearing. Okay, I think now you can see it.
Yes, now we can see it. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So hello everyone, my name is Andrea Hayek. I'm part of CIDETEC, the coordinator of TVMed. So TVMed, it's an open innovation testbed that is focused on high-risk medical devices. So what we do is basically all the services that goes from a TRL 4 to a TRL 7. That means after the concept phase, all the services that you will need until you do a clinical investigation. We basically have 3 objectives inside the OITB. The first one is increase the quality and reduce the risk that your medical devices will have, and that will facilitate the clinical testing that you're doing afterwards. The second one is to build the arguments to demonstrate real benefits, not only for patients, but also for the system, for the health system. That will help you in the part of the reimbursement process, and that will make your access to the market much more easier and faster. And finally, we want to reduce the cost and the variability of your manufacturing process, and that will help you again to speed the market, to speed the time to market. So in order to do so, we have a series of facilities about characterization, testing, safety assessment, manufacturing, prototyping, industrial manufacturing, as well as a new methodology. It's a methodology that is based actually in pharmaceuticals. It's called quality by design. And what we are doing, it's adapting that to medical devices. So based on that methodology, we are optimizing the process and your product to comply with all the regulations and also to the reimbursement process. As well, we have a market access lab that will help you with HTA assessments, as well as business viability and financials. So for which users we have created TVMed? We have doing, first of all, for highly innovative SMEs. That means small companies that have a new product and would like to actually enter into the market, but they are not quite sure which is the pathway that they should follow. As well, for innovative companies that require a multi-center clinical trial. That means if you already have passed your clinical proof of concept and now you want to expand and do a clinical investigation broader in more than 3 countries, we are able to help you. Also for companies that require reassessment after the new medical regulation. As you know, now with the new medical regulation, actually the classes of the devices could have changed. And if you were a class 1 before, you might be now a class 2 or a class 2B. So in that case, we're able to help you as well. As well, we can help companies that are diversifying to the medtech sector. Maybe they were before just in the pharma sector and they would like now to go with combined products or medical devices. As well, companies that had a product that was developed outside outside Europe and would like to market it in here. Spin-off companies that would like to have added value, that have a product with a high added value, but have a low expertise in the sector. Big companies that would like to scout for new technologies or new companies and then try to enter that technology into their companies. And finally, companies that need training or additional service for the OITB. What do we offer? We have 3 pillars. One, of course, is the technology development. There is our core, in which we can offer you efficacy testing, safety testing, characterization, prototyping, upscaling. As well, we have another pillar that is financing, in which we will try to help all the small companies to actually find ways to financing these services. This could be with access to capital ventures, with co-developments, or with partnering from grant proposals. And finally, we have a 3rd pillar that is the business support, in which we will offer consultancy services to do your market access, regulatory, and your business plan. So if you want to contact us, what do you need to do? First of all, you will go, for example, to your computer and check for our website, and then fill an initial form in which you will say which is your device, what kind of company do you have, and which is the needs that you think you have. Afterwards, a key account manager is going to contact you and check which is the degree of development, if we can actually help you because you are under the scope of our OITB, and if we need further information. Afterwards, if we believe we are able to help you, we will of course sign an NDA and ask you to send us all the documentation so we can do a better assessment. And we will send you a proposal. Finally, if you agree to the proposal, we will of course enter into business, and we will continue the communication with you through the whole process. So who is TVMed? Actually, it's a consortium of 13 companies in which we have SMEs, industrial, hospital centers, as well as research centers, all of them in 4 different countries. And we would like to help you in anything that you would need. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, for bringing us the TVMed. So we have these 3 OITBs focusing on medical technology. So we will now pass to these 3 OITBs working with nano-enabled surfaces and membranes. We will start with the new skin. So I will call now Carlos del Castillo. Carlos, I hope you are around.
I'm here.
Okay, so you can share now your presentation.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
First, thanks Marina Ioneno for the organization of this event and for allowing us to introduce this new skin. That's an innovation ecosystem to accelerate the industrial uptake of advanced surface nanotechnologies. And we're going to proceed with the introduction of this OITB. Well, first, my name is Carlos del Castillo and I work like project manager for the New Skin project. And what we are bringing with New Skin is the necessary technologies, resources and services, but not only technological, but also route to market and also funding services to manufacture consumer products, integrating nano surfaces and membranes. Taking into account that these products, they need to provide an overperformance compared to what is in the state of art. What do we really do? Is we synergistically combine structures, functional and high performance nanolayers with mass production processes. And we are really focusing a 360 degrees approach. That means that we can provide services from design of solutions to final commercialization. And with the commercialization, we mean the support, the route to market. We will not really commercialize or industrialize products by ourselves, but we will transfer the technology and provide the necessary resources for companies to do that. And well, this is can start prototyping, performance evaluation, benefits quantification, also for an free LCA approach. And of course, all the necessary processes to uptake, including legislation, regulatory support, networking, and even some kind of sales support if needed, and introduction of products into key markets. Well, with the first definition, you will see that our scope is really horizontal and wide. And basically, I will introduce in the next slide the technologies, but we will be focused into specific industries and sectors, overcoming specific barriers and challenges that they can be associated. And our value propositions, rather than from technologies, they will be organized from sectors and value propositions. So for example, for the renewable energy, just to focus, we can offer textures and coatings for different components that will reduce into improved performance due to less maintenance stops, but also a more efficient energy generation, being able to improve the durability of the components under harsh environments, and we mean the blades, but we mean also the immersive structures or whatever, anti-soiling surfaces for photovoltaics, or simply by improving the heat exchange in heat exchangers of air conditioning systems or systems for geothermal energy. We have also a strong value proposition on functional surfaces for construction, especially to deal with the new challenges that they are derived from the Green Deal and the renovation wave execution. And well, just to introduce one of the main value propositions is that we have a quite mature and developed range of services to improve the durability, the energy efficiency, and well, the efficiency of equipment that they are installing, elements that they are working under dynamic conditions, dealing with both friction and vibration issues. Of course, this results into lower energy generation, increases lifespan, and of course, much more efficient systems. And in the case of the ECCS, as the project coordinator, we hope not only to have been benefit for all these structures to deal and to address the new renovation wave, but also to achieve new levels of performance in terms of being able to deploy steel structures into harsher and more stringent conditions, from offshore renewable energy to more durable fire resistance, being able to work on immersed conditions. Well, we have an important range of challenges that we're trying to address with this project. The added value really is, like I said before, is the 360-degree services portfolio, mass production processes. Here I'm going to just list them because that's quite complicated, but texture injury molding, roll-to-roll vacuum processions for both chemical vapor deposition and PVD on the high-pens technology, thermal imprinting, atmospheric plasma grow discharge, for membranes with a couplet coating system, automatics and nanosafe, really important application of nano coatings, those coatings that contain nanoparticles, and for example, heat reflective paints and others that are going to gain weight in the market. We will be able to demonstrate that can be efficiently and safely applied into real conditions. Continuous laser processes that brings a huge opportunity for forming, like we have already discussed with other OITBs, but also for many opportunities, and generally speaking, more accurate and precise laser systems, as well as dual equipment like hardening and texturing during the lasering processes. Well, so in this case, what we are bringing is really nano-conformable, and this really means that we are able to provide a coating, a functional coating on a nanostructure without masking the structure. We're able to work at low temperature, providing nano coatings, but can be synergistically combined with nano microstructures, and we can work on mass production and continuous process, and also on complex and heavy components. This is something that's quite new in some of the applications. In addition, we are bringing the testing facilities to replicate harsh conditions, because one of the problems that we have is that we need to demonstrate the superior performance against the state of art. And this is not so easy with the available standards. So we need to provide specific testing to demonstrate what are the key features of nano coatings in terms of wear, in terms of barrier properties, temperature resistance, and to do so, the standard, for example, self-straying will not be enough. Then we are offering an horizontal portfolio of showcases. We are bringing 55 demo cases, so that for us, what we are really looking is to easily to recognize examples of products that can be attractive for the innovation ecosystem and for the market, so that we can really base our main activities in replicating what we have already done on the showcases. So that, for example, if we are working on a specific component, working on an engine, so that we can work on a component with a different geometry, working at different dynamic conditions, or we are working with a different material. But there will be, like set in the second slide, like some master or key areas of interest in working that will really bring the most revenue for the project. And in addition, of course, we will work on other funded projects, and we will also implement research activities. But we are thinking that it will be really important to have like best sellers, projects that will be able to replicate and to get an important mass of money to make the system, the OITB, sustainable. And another important aspect is that we are strongly aligned with the industrial and societal challenges in Europe. So we hope that we're going to have an important role in addressing the Green Deal in the construction sector, and also in improving the deployment of renewable energies, but also, generally speaking, in increasing the efficiency of industrial equipment, also bringing advanced functionalities in terms of opticals, the development of micro and nanoelectronics by functional textures, but also coatings with improved electric conductivity. So these are the 5 key points in which we aim to support. And finally, I'm going to introduce the way that we're going to act, our single entry point, that we're going to connect to the innovation ecosystem through the single entry point. And basically within our SEP, that will be in fact an ASBL, a European association, what we are going to do is to integrate both European associations or industry representatives. We have also in this case M27, who is an expert on funding and support of commercialization, and the RTDs. So on the one hand, we will bring technologies, marketable products, services, and resources, and on the one hand, we will get the feedbacks and the revenues from the ecosystem. But in order to engage with this innovation ecosystem and to support the route to market, and also to make sure that we are fully aligned with the needs of the market, we have this range of associations. And well, all this will be done through an European international association that will allow us to act like a single entry point and also to be accessible through a single contract process. Even the fact that we will be about 22 full members and an important number of associated members, that means end users. So, well, that's the 5 minutes that we have to introduce the project. And I invite you to look at our value propositions and join our platform just to be informed about the advances in the project. Okay, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Carlos, for bringing us the new skin portfolio of services. So please don't forget, place your questions on the chat. I see that there's people already interested in knowing more about the business model behind these OITBs, but we will take the opportunity during the question and answer session. I will now give the stage or the word to John Faltech. We will represent or is presenting as coordinator the Flex Function to Sustain, an ecosystem for sustainable, nano-functionalized and flexible plastic and paper surfaces and membranes. John, the screen is yours now.
Marina, thank you very, very much for the kind introduction. And now, yeah, we are a little bit co-organizer of the event today, together with Safe and Medtech and with the European Commission. And so now I take the opportunity to present our open innovation ecosystem for the sustainable nano-functionalized plastic and paper and membrane surfaces. And this is what we are talking about. Our open innovation ecosystem, the Flex Function to Sustain, will help you to boost innovation for sustainable and smart plastic and paper products. We, from the societal standpoint, want to reduce the plastic waste and want to, on one hand, and on the other hand, get plastic and paper products ready for the digital age. And one solution to do this is using nano-functionalization of these surfaces. So what we practically do is we take a plastic and paper. So you don't see my camera. Interesting. I wanted to show you a product, but it's not possible. Okay. What we want to show you, we want to use is we take the plastic and paper surface and we give it a functionality. And this functionality is usually conductivity for flexible electronics, it's optical performance for certain application, energy harvesting and energy storage for batteries, organic solar cells, robustness of the surfaces, antimicrobial, antiviral surfaces, permeability. And the Flex Function to Sustain OITBs offer services that start from the design of materials and products through the development, through the verification in the application areas, to prototyping and piloting. So we clearly say that pilot production and small series TRL 7+, we would say, is part of the OITB services. And we help the customer with setting up their production processes. This is a technical part of our services. So on the other hand, we have the business part that complement the technical part, and we therefore have 3 networking and business consultants and 1 IP consultant here in our project as OITB member. We bring together with the technical services access to networks, access to finance. Yeah, we have in the advisory board an investor, and we will set up measures to regular exchange with investors and how to track them. We will give business consulting. For example, if spin-offs from university come and need support in setting up the business model. This is also part of our story. Standardization and regulation, especially when we look for food application, packaging, and value chains, bringing customers to our customers is part of our service and is part of what we want to do in the Open Innovation Testbed. For 4 major application areas, it's a large field of packaging, billion-dollar business here, flexible electronics, an emerging market of business, membranes and bioapplication, optical films. So these are the product types that we want to address here, and further on in the end user applications, yeah, food industry, automotive, and others. So what do we offer? We have technical, physical facilities that we provide access through our Open Innovation Testbed. And this is all major thin film processing technologies that you can do on plastic and paper. surfaces and membranes. So this is roll-to-roll vacuum coating. It's atmospheric pressure coating, printing and surface treatment, micro nanostructuring. Here you see a machine from Joanneum Research in Austria, printed electronic pilot lines, and we have all type of processes that we offer through the OITB on small scale, on sheets, 2 by 2 square centimeter as a starting point, I would say, up to roll material with up to 1,000 meter long rolls, 0.6 meter width or even more in roll-to-roll vacuum coating, so that we can demonstrate that the processes that we develop here for a certain customer, for a product, are usable also in industrial environment or in almost industrial environment. So we still say it's as a small series production capacity, 10,000 square meter of packaging film, to give the customer the opportunity to get the production machine purchased and running, and meanwhile already get some products to be used. This is something that we include directly into our services. Yeah, a big part, if we're talking about reducing plastic waste, we talk about circularity of plastics, recyclability, and biodegradability are the two main topics that we want to address. And there is a clear holistic approach, mainly initiated here with IPC, our partner, and together, of course, with several other partners in our OITB, to say we start from the material design, from the product design, go through developing these materials, test the formulations, and end up really with testing the recyclability and testing and verifying the biodegradability. And our facilities are prepared at the moment to be ready to act as a certified, as an accredited testing lab, so that the TÜV Austria, for example, can directly ask us to do the measurement so that we can give marine degradability label and certificate. Yeah, also for recycling, the Recyclas certificate here. So this is what is included in our service. And this is the other part that an open innovation testbed like ours will offer, is proven workflows for particular product testing. A typical example is a polymer film maker, polymer granulate maker with a biopolymer wants to test whether his biopolymer is usable for food packaging films. And we have the full process chain from making a film out of the polymer, doing any coatings, gas barriers, lamination, food contact testing, compostability testing, and even the pilot manufacturing. So we have the full process chain. Then this is really what we think that it's important to accelerate the time, to reduce the time needed from the idea to the product in the end. So the idea is that this granulate can be used for food packaging, and the product is the food packaging itself. Yeah, it's also for printed electronics. We have the full process chains, and we also have them for smart labels, security, and optical features. And how we work, we will set up a single entry point. You have heard this more time already in the earlier presentations. And this single entry point will offer you the full innovation services from the whole Europe, from our whole consortium, from a single source, and ideally later on in your language. Even if you are in Portugal, you get service from Greece in Portuguese language, and vice versa. And this thing, the SAP, it's acting like a project manager, a project designer, manager, and coordinator of these complex innovation projects as general contractor. And it will basically select the best suited technology for the customer. And a good example, good comparison to the, I would say, the traditional world is the construction industry, where you buy from a general contractor a house, and this general contractor will select for you the supplier of the walls, the supplier of the bathrooms, the supplier of the roof, and they will help you also with getting the money for it. And this is what the single entry point is meant to do, and this is what we are currently setting up, and hopefully 1 year from now, in month 24, we will have it ready and accessible to industry. But what we start earlier already is, save the date, really important, is the open calls for pilot project. What we want to do is we want to create success stories. We want to test services and procedures, and we need customers for it. And this customer gets something in return for being our beta tester, and this is 100%, up to 100% our subsidized support. We have an available budget for about 20 projects, 2.25 million, and there will be a approval procedure where every customer will submit a short project proposal of 10 pages, I would say, with a description of what they need, and then we will select the best 20 in 3 cutoff dates, and the first will be January 2022, and then every 6 months another cutoff date. That's all I want to show you on the flex function to sustain OITB. Thank you very much for listening, and yeah, open for questions, of course.
Thank you, John, for bringing us the Flex Function to Sustain project. So now to close this first slot of presentations, we have now with us Martin Smolka. Martin will bring us the next Gene Microfluidics OITB. So Martin, if you can share your presentation, so I give you the floor.
Okay, now it should work. So I'm happy to present you the Open Innovation Testbed Next Gen Microfluidics. And as my first slide, first of all, a bit about the field of microfluidics, a short recap for all of you. So when we talk about microfluidics, then what we have in mind are chips or cartridges, which have microchannels and reaction chambers in micro format. And with these things, the microchannels and reaction chambers, we implement chemical, biochemical, and also biological processes in miniaturized format. So it's all about miniaturization of these processes. And yeah, it is very useful for diagnostic tools. So in medical analysis, so where we implement, for example, biochemical processes to detect something in a liquid sample, but you can also culture cells in such devices and then study cell phenomena in detail. Yeah, about the application, we know very much in the ongoing crisis that such miniaturized and portable diagnostic tools are very helpful. So we need tests which are related to the virus, either for an infection with the virus or also tests for the immune reaction after an infection. And there we know that the field of microfluidics could improve the way we are measuring, so specificity and also sensitivity has been shown to be able to be improved with new microfluidic devices. But typically such devices are produced in processes where they run in single units or just in a few units, which means that typically the throughput is limited and the manufacturing costs are too high to compete with existing products. So what we are working on, what we are implementing is in this field of manufacturing of microfluidic devices, we are implementing concepts which are basically already there. So from print industry, we can easily switch to processing of large substrates. So that is already known, for example, imprinting processes and also printing processes and lamination processes. Those are basically well known, and we combine them here for the for manufacturing of biosensors, cell culture devices, and so on. And so we are talking about the keyword of lab on a foil devices. So that's our key technology. And yeah, in a few schematics so that you have a better view of what our core technology is all about. So first of all, we imprint these microchannels and reaction chambers on carrier foils. So we're creating topographies on carrier foils from rolls, and either with extrusion coating or there we work with standard thermoplast like polystyrene, COP, for example. Or we work with photopolymers, which we also apply on carriers and then press an imprint stamp into them and polymerize them with UV light. So this is the topography patterning. Then we implement printing processes, like we said, but not with colors, like in newspapers. Here we print biomolecules. So for example, the molecules which you need in biosensors, yeah, for example, nucleic acids or antibodies, antigens. So all that we can print. And finally, we laminate our devices. We close them or we build up multi-layer devices. And yeah, also a short look into our machines. So the imprinting looks like that. So we have our foils of carrying the microfluidic structures rolling out of the imprint machines. Then we are printing our biomolecules. So we transfer such an imprinted polymer foil roll and print our biomolecules. Then laminate the closing foils for the devices or assemble them to injection molded carriers. Just a very short overview for what we can achieve. So in points of cost reduction in manufacturing. So if we So currently we have, for example, a lot of chips which are produced by injection molding, and then on a standard tool, 5 chips can be placed. That is much different with our technology, where we have imprint tools typically with, for example, 64 chips of microfluidics devices in standard microscope slide format. And so for a real rough calculation, and they're already in this first step of patterning, we can achieve a 10-fold cost decrease if we assume that the machines have more or less the same price. So that is also the case, but as soon as these machines are really industrially exploited, then we have this comparison is valid. And also in additional process step, for example, if you imagine printing of electrodes, and also this biomolecule printing is much more effective if we apply it to such large area sheets instead of a few chips at a time. Oh, good. Well, that was the most important overview of our core portfolio. Technology-wise, then here you see our network. So we have already worked, so half of the consortium have already worked in the previous project, and we have really designed the whole consortium from the beginning of the value chain, from design and simulation to final chips manufactured from already certified microfluidic chip manufacturers. So at the very end, thank you very much for your attention, and we are happy to get in contact with you. You see here the key players of the project management teams.
Okay, thank you, Martin, for this clear presentation. So before going to our break, so it's now we are short in time, I must say, but I guess we will have time to answer 1 or 2 questions before breaking for a 5 minutes, very short break. So probably let me check the chat window. So probably we will start with a question from Quentin Punkhurst to the TBMet, so to be answered by Andrea. So Andrea, what is meant by high risk? Is this commercial risk or clinical risk or supply chain risk? So can you tell us a bit more about what you mean when you...
Sure.
Okay.
Actually, high risk mean the class of the device that we are talking about. As I was saying before, there are different classes into the regulation. You have class 1, that is the lowest risk device, so the easiest one. And then you have up to class 3 devices, which are implantable devices. So depending on the characteristics of your device, you will classify it into one or another. Class 2B and class 3 are defined as high-risk medical devices. This normally goes for implantable devices, active devices, and devices that combine, for example, nanoparticles or some pharmaceuticals.
Okay. So thank you for clarifying this, Quentin. I hope this was enough in terms of clarification. So
yes, that's fine.
Okay, great. So Mats Broden has placed the question in the very beginning of this session. How do you set up a business case with your clients, or do you provide your services for free? So probably I will direct this question to Angel Del Pozo. Angel, would you like to give a few words on the business case behind the CypherMedTech?
Yeah. Thanks a lot. This is an excellent question, and it's difficult to address in few words, because most of this morning we had an internal session between several open innovation testbeds just to discuss about our business model and how to make profit of this. First of all, we have to differentiate. Maybe when we explain the things are not so clear. Now we are into a research project. So our partners are receiving the services for free, and they are contributing with the knowledge and the products to the project. There is a second step where we are performing open calls in CypherMedTech, and I would say in many others, as John just explained now, where we will offer services mainly for free to external applicants that are not part of the consortium, and there we will have the chance to see what are they expecting from us, and what is the reason for the open innovations to be, and what we can offer to let's say, clients that are not already in the consortia from the beginning. And at the end of the projects, we will have to enter into a, let's say, sustainability phase where the testbeds have to be a business on their own. For this, we have two main challenges that are to define the legal structure for the testbeds and how we are going to build a single entry point that is the one that is going to sign the contracts and make the relationship with the clients. And in parallel, but totally connected to this legal definition and single entry point definition, we have to define our business model. What are we going to sell? Who are our clients? And what is our unique selling proposition, or what make us different from the others? For example, at CFA MedTech now we are in a phase where we have prepared a survey that is, we call it the voice of the clients or something like that, or the client voice, where we want to address several people that is in this landscape of nano-enabled medical devices or medical technologies. We want to reach them to know in advance their expectations about an open innovation testbed. It's not me to tell you what can I do for you, but on the other hand, what do you expect from an open innovation to be, and what could you be eager to pay for? So business model is clearly a challenge. And all of us, when we decided to go into the project, had the mandate from the Commission to become sustainable structures in the future, just based in the resources that we can generate through normal business, let's say.
Okay. Thank you, Angel. Well, unfortunately, we have no more time to answer questions. So probably I see there is one question addressed to John. Probably, John, I will ask you if you don't mind to answer these via chat. So I want to thank you all for the panelists for letting us know more about your OITBs. So keep with the good work. So we will not now have a short break of 5 minutes. So let's get back at let's say, well, half past 4, if you all agree. So we will have this second half session on the open innovation test beds as a service to the industry. So we will get back at 4:30. Talk to you very, very soon. So welcome back. So with no further delay, I will introduce the second panel of OITB representatives. This time we will bring to you 3 OITBs operating in lightweight, nano-enabled, multifunctional composite materials, and 3 OITBs for characterization. So I'm very pleased to introduce you to Sandrine Lebigre, representing the Oasis OITB, Zachary Davies from the Libet, Luca Magnani from the LightMe, and then we will proceed for the OITBs for characterization. From Form Planet, we will have with us Edward Piqueras, from the TISMAT OITB, Philippe Azé, and Franz Piquet from the iTribomat OITB. So I will start by giving the floor to Sandrine. Sandrine, I guess you can share your presentation.
Thank you very much, Marina. I'm Sandrine Lebigre. I'm head of R&D program for added value product at IPC. IPC is the technical coordinator of the Oasis project. So I will give a few words about this OITB. So Oasis is a unique opportunity to answer your needs for lightweight and high performance materials, as well as your needs for integration of multifunctionalities in your lightweight products. When talking about lightweight products, here we are talking about aluminum-based composite, but also polymer-based composites. And Oasis is an ecosystem of 12 pilot lines together with different non-technological services that can provide, that can give you the opportunity to develop lightweight multifunctional products. So as I said, we offer not only technological services, but also non-technical services, meaning that we also provide support in the definition of your business plan, in the access to investors, but also in the management of health, environment, and safety issues. So here is a focus on the pipelines that you can access through OASIS. So as you can see, we cover the whole value chain, starting from nanomaterials up to integration into component and products. With these nanoparticles, we offer various functionalities. As you can see, for example, we offer some functionalized nanoparticle in order to improve thermal insulation through aerogels. We also offer other types of nanoparticles that can improve mechanical strength or flame retardancy. And of course, these are only some examples of a wide range of functionalities that can be provided. We also propose different intermediates that can facilitate the integrations of nanomaterials into your products. For example, we offer bucky papers, which are self-supporting sheets with carbon nanotubes. We offer also dopevels, which integrate also these carbon nanotubes, and other functional prepregs, which can integrate various types of nanomaterials. So with all these intermediates, you have a semi-product that can facilitate the integration of nanomaterial into your final product. And we also provide printed electronics, which can facilitate the integration of various electronic functionalities, for example, the integration of structural health monitoring into your product. And finally, we offer different processes in order to integrate these nanomaterials and nanointermediates into your products. As you can see, 2 pilot lines are dedicated to aluminum-based products, and 3 pilot lines are dedicated to polymer-based products. What's the added value for you as a customer? Well, OASIS is a unique opportunity to have access to a combination of these pilot lines and associated services which are spread all over Europe. And you will have access to these through a single entry point, meaning that you will have only one contact point that will define for you the right combination answering your needs. And this contact point will then coordinate the work of the different service providers. As you can see by the logos of the different companies which are already customers of this OASIS single entry point, we are able to answer the needs of any company, big ones, like for example, Acciona, or small ones, SMEs, like for example, ATP Aviation. We are able to work in various application fields. For example, we are working with VDL, who produces bus panels. And we are also working in sports and leisure applications with Decathlon. And to finish my talk, I would like to give few words about the open call. So in the frame of the OASIS project, we offer you the opportunity to get free access to the pilot line and associated services. So this access will be funded by the European Commission in the frame of the project in order to validate this new single entry point and its business model. So this is an opportunity for any European organization to get a free access to the OASIS services in order to develop a prototype. You have until the end of July to apply for it. The application process is quite simple. You should write a 5 pages proposal and submit it to us. So if you're willing to develop an innovative, multifunctional, lightweight product, please contact us so that we can check the feasibility of your product within the OASIS open call and then guide you through the application process. So here are my contact details. Do not hesitate to contact me if you need further information.
Great, thank you, Sandrine. Just one question regarding the open call. Are companies from outside or institutions from outside Europe eligible for this
No,
call?
only European organization only.
Okay, okay,
yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So for the audience, please write down your questions on the chat window. We will answer them at the end of the session. So I will now give the stage to Zachary Davies, who will introduce us to the LIBED OITB, which focus in the development and production of nanomaterials for lightweight embedded electronics. Zachary, you can share your presentation. The screen control
okay, thank
is
you
yours.
very much. All right, thank you very much for the introduction, Mariana. So thank you for joining. And my name is Zachary James Davis. I'm a coordinator of the LIBED project, but also team manager at the Danish Technological Institute, which is coordinating the LIBED project, which is trying to form an innovation testbed for the development and production of nanomaterials for the lightweight embedded electronics. So just so everybody's on the same page, what is lightweight embedded electronics? So when we're talking about is going from this sort of standard PCB type of electronics, which I think everybody's familiar with, taking that and then using nano-enabled formulations and printing processes to be able to put these onto flexible formats, different materials like foils, plastic foils, paper foils, etc. Being able to mount also hybrid silicon chips onto them as well, and then be able to embed them into different products. And it's quite a large amount of things that has to be done to be able to perform this, and also to increase the functionalities. So in this case, this is a temperature locking sensor unit, which has IoT communication, NFC antenna, microcontroller, temperature sensing capabilities, and then putting that all into a sort of a printed package where not just even the battery itself is a thin film battery, which can enable a lot of different applications. In order to see how can we do this and how is it going to work in practice. So we have also, as we've seen quite a few times now, a single entry point, which is the sort of access to LIBED. And once you get into the LIBED, you'll go through 3 phases. The first phase is a technical economic modeling and assessment phase. And in this case, what we do is we discuss with the customer what can we do for the customer? What is their idea? Is it feasible with the technologies, the pilot lines we have access to in the partners? We can then also make some technical calculations, designs, how it's going to look, what materials will be used. We can also make economic cost estimations, how much will it cost, not just to develop a prototype, but also how much it will cost if you want to develop it further into a product in a manufacturing setup. We can also do sustainability calculations, life cycle assessments, etc. We can look into the safety issues, if there are regulations that we need to take care of, or is there any standards or standardization that needs to be done. We can also help the customer gain access to the pilot lines through funding services, through project or proposals, or a variety of different manners to do that. So this is sort of I would say, a modeling phase. So we don't do that much hands-on work. We sort of help the customer figure out what to do and how we're going to do it. Then we go to the phase 2, which is then access to the pilot lines. And then in this case, we have 3 types of pilot lines. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's just to say that we're working not just with the machines, the tools that can print and make the electronics, but actually going all the way back to the materials themselves to tailor make the materials that go into the formulations that go into the printed components. Because one of the bottlenecks we do see in the printed electronics industry is that there's just not enough materials or enough variety of materials to be able to print all the things that we want to do. For example, sensing applications, energy applications, etc. These things, the material development and also upscaling is a bottleneck. In line with this, we also have inline characterization technologies that we can then also offer as services, but also is supporting the upgrading of the pilot lines. In the end, what we want to also provide the customer is a sort of a full service, so not just giving them a prototype or here's how it's going to be done, but also helping them all the way to market. What's the next step? That means IPR services, looking at patents, what's the landscape going to be like, helping them with the business planning, and also even getting them in connection with investors if that's needed. And all, you could also see who we are. We're about 13 partners providing services and pilot lines. Printed electronics has an extremely large amount of application areas. We have picked in the project 4 that we're working on right now, but this is just limited to what we have in there. We can also apply the technologies to a variety of different things. We are working right now with functional services, with interactive lighting for decorative and also wearable applications. Maya is working on embedding electronics into the plastic parts inside your car, automotive applications. Graphiatic is smart packaging and smart, for example, ID and tags, but also integrating sensing applications in your packaging as well. And then last but not least, we have Accione, which is working with embedding sort of structural monitoring, but inside the composite structural parts of construction. A little bit more about the pilot lines. We have actually three types of pilot lines working all the way from development and upscaling of nanomaterials. That means nanoparticles. It could also be bio-based materials. It could be nanowires. It could be all sorts of different things. We have quite a variety of technologies to our disposal. Not just, and one of the major hurdles that we're trying to, or that we are solving is trying to take, which usually takes maybe 6, 9, maybe even 12 months to do a development of a material, but also a formulation, to sort of comprise that into 2 to 3 months, to really decrease time to market. This is one of the things that we're really trying to do with the pilot lines that we're upgrading in Libed. So development of nanomaterials, formulating into nano-enabled formulations, and that's a variety of different printing technologies: inkjet, flexo, gravure print, screen printing, slot die coding, etc. We have quite a few different formulations to our disposal, and then printing them and embedding them in components. And in this case, we're working with 3D printing, digital inkjet, sheet-to-sheet printing, but also going, and that's in more of a prototyping stage, where we can then also scale that up to roll-to-roll printing lines, large volume printing lines, etc. We also have an open call, and the open call is actually open and has been open for the last few months. If you want to apply, and what we're offering now is through the EU funding, a number of phase 1 assessments that we can then perform free of charge to industries coming into the Libed single entry point. So what you need to do is then go to www.libed.eu. There's a link to the open call, or you can just directly go in and sign up. There's also a link for that, and then that gives us an email and it's quite a simple process. It's 5 or 6 questions, just very, very simple. Who you are, what's the idea, the very general idea. Once you've done that, project manager then will contact you and sort of take you through the sort of process of going through the phase 1. And that will consist of some meetings, but also some questionnaires that have to be filled out, more information about what you would like to do and where it's going to go, which TRL level you're at, etc. Then we'll do a quick feasibility and quick financial decision analysis, which will probably happen in the winter of 2021-22, in the beginning of 22. And then we'll also perform the safety service, LCA, IP mapping, and economic viability services as well. This will all then be packaged to you and given to you as a report, which will then be make the guidelines, or make this sort of draft for how we go to a pilot project in phase 2 and eventually phase 3. So if you're really interested in seeing what printed and embedded electronics can do to you, for you and your products, please go to our website or contact me directly, and we'll help you on the way. Thank you very much, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you on the other end.
Thank you, Zachary, for bringing us the Libet services. So I will now give the stage to Luca Magnani, who will present us the LightMe OITB.
Okay, so good afternoon. Thank you, Marina, for this opportunity. I'm Luca Magnani from Politecnico di Milano. I'm the coordinator of the LightMe project. LightMe project is basically dedicated to lightweight metallic alloys. So we talk about aluminum alloys, magnesium alloys, and titanium alloys. And specifically, we want to implement these alloys to the composite level. So the idea is to develop and to implement pilot lines available with the partners to produce, able to produce composite materials with the aim to say have the possibility to design new components, maybe with less material, of course lighter, but also with new functionalities. So what we offer in the LightMe ecosystem, we have the 6 pilot lines that are now implemented in order to have the possibility to introduce nanoparticles in the composite alloys. I just want to underline that we go from, let's say, more traditional production line like based on casting, but also to additive manufacturing pilot lines. So we can, let's say, 3D printing, for instance, composite alloys. Together with the possibility to produce these new components, we have, of course, all the knowledge developed during the implementation regarding the monitoring system, the characterization of the composite material, the modeling, and the modeling. It has been fundamental not only for the implementation of the pilot lines, but also of the final products. And of course, as in the other project, we offer services related to business plan, marketing, IP protection, and training. Very important, I think, is also the, let's say, the services that we offer in terms of regulation and standardization, and very important, dealing with nanomaterials about health and safety, say protocols and procedure that also the end user should have when dealing with nanomaterials. What can be the benefit be in touch with the LightMe ecosystem? But first, we let's say offer our services to companies, to R&D center, small medium companies, as I said, large companies. So anyone interested in let's say demonstrating the possibility to produce new components with the composite alloys. Then, of course, we support the new the idea with the evaluation on, let's say, with the business plan and how to approach the market with the new component, and how to let's say also approach new sectors of the market. Just to give you a practical idea what a company or anyone interested in composite metallic alloys can do, here is the first example, is one of the demonstrator produced in the ecosystem. This is the first door knob produced in LightMe, and this one is made of an aluminum alloy die casted containing titanium nanoparticles. So it's the first example of a composite component, in this case again the door knob with antibacterial properties. And so here to demonstrate not only the possibility of new materials, but also say new mechanical properties for the composite alloys, but also new functionalities. We have already opened the open call, so very soon there will be also the single entry point that will be based in Italy. At the moment, Politecnico, you can be in touch with Politecnico for any aspect related to the project and to the open call. As you see, we offer, let's say, services free of charge to a limited number of, let's say, ideas, projects in order to demonstrate the feasibility in the use of composite alloys, and so to demonstrate the benefit in using the composite alloys. The call has been open in January, it's still open. There is a first cut with the first evaluation, let's say, in these days. We have already received submissions which are under evaluation and will be implemented very soon. There will be a second cutoff, you see here, by the end of August, in order to, again, have the implementation of this new selected project by basically the end of the year. So anyone who is interested, here is the link to the let's say, to the ecosystem and to the open call platform, where you will find all the information, very easy to apply, just a proposal with some let's say, questions in order to, let's say, define exactly the what is the kind of application you are interested to or you want to implement, and then a description of the technology that you want to propose to us. And so again, please be in contact with us for any questions or for the open call. Thank you for the time that you gave us.
Thank you, Luca, for pitching the LightMe and for presenting this open call. So we will now jump into the OITBs for characterization. So we will start with the Form Planet OITB. So Edward Piqueras will share with us more about the services from the Form Planet. So Edward, I guess you can share your presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, the organizers, for giving us the opportunity to present Form Planet in this session, and also thank you to all attendees for the interest in this Open Innovation Testbed. I'm Edward Piqueras, Form Planet Project Coordinator and performing as EU programs in European Programs Unit in EURECAD Technology Center. Okay, I'm going to present our OITB on characterization of sheet metals. Okay, the area of expertise of our Open Innovation Testbed is focused on the sheet metal sector, sheet metal forming sector, and the characterization and modeling. Okay, the storyline of our testbed is based on the limitations that we found that the industry dealing with the production of new sheet metals and production of new parts manufactured by using these metals. They have with the use of new high strength sheet materials. There are some cases where we find productivity losses due to crack defects, limit formatability, etc. So we found that there is a need from this sector for an accurate materials characterization and new modeling approach that permits to predict the sheet formability and the part performance. So then we get together different technology centers and partners to create this integrated testbed ecosystem to offer these advanced testing methodologies to help assuring a near zero defects production and optimize the sheet material development. Then we structured our services, novel characterization services, on the different stages or the value chain of the sheet metal. That is the sheet material development and production, the part and forming process design, and also the components production. Okay, so we based our project and the offering of our testbed in developing this and offering this more accurate sheet metals characterization, non-destructive in process measurements, and modeling addressing this prediction of processability and quality parts problems. What are the services that we offer? We try to give solutions to the problems of the sheet metal sector, and then organize it in these three steps or these three parts of the value chain. We offer on the sheet material development and production different kind of tests and methods for prediction of edge cracking, stretch frangibility, the studies of the fatigue resistance, micromechanical characterization, fracture toughness, delayed fracture due to the erosion enrichment, and also regarding crashworthiness by using dynamic component test and intrinsic material crashworthiness. Regarding the part forming and the process, the design of processes for forming, we provide services, characterization services regarding the evaluation of forming limits at room and high temperature, edge cracking, modeling of the part performance, also modeling of the hydrogen enrichment, and material data for modeling. Finally, during the production of these components, we also offer services and in-process check systems and inline part quality assessment, especially on the industrial and online diffusible hydrogen measurement. Okay, apart from other services. There are other complementary services apart from the ones that I presented, that wants to complement the offering of the Open Innovation Testbed. Okay, we want to offer a service modularity, solving problems by using services from the different partners of our organization. Okay, what are these partners or the organization behind this Open Innovation Testbed? There are the different test sites formed by different technology centers: Eurecat in the area of Barcelona, Fraunhofer in Germany, University of Pisa in Italy, Comtes in Czech Republic, and University of Luleå in Sweden, and different companies providing specific services like Tomec, AP+, ANSYS, Granta. Okay. The added value that we want to bring to the sheet metal forming sector and industries, the service benefits are to go to this zero defects production, to help you in developing new high performance sheet materials at reduced cost, reduce time to market of the new high performance sheet parts or sheet materials, increase your productivity, improve the quality of your parts, and build robust processes for this forming of sheet materials. Okay. These are the companies that already work with us because they are part of Form Planet project. There are 8 more companies already collaborating with us because our open call was closed in March, and we already selected the companies. But Form Planet will be available, will be established as a single entry point next year, so in January 2022, available for all the industry to solve your problems. Just to introduce how it works is all Open Innovation Testbeds that have been presented. We act as a single entry point, one-stop shop that wants to connect industry with these testbed leading technological sites and solution providers. Okay, and that's the added value is this service modularity and access to technology, advanced technological services. So that's all. Thank you for listening, and hope this is interesting for you. Don't hesitate to follow us to get more news about this.
Thank you, Edward, for bringing us the Form Planet. So we'll not now pass to the presentation of the TISMAT OIT. Edward, yeah, just asking you to share the screen. So I will handle now to Philippe Azé. So Philippe, you can share your presentation. Thank you.
So we are focusing on electrochemical energy storage materials. So it's the area of our expertise. And we are focusing on the characterization techniques and data analytics, and especially also to the database data and to cross the data and to identify a way to accelerate the innovation. So we have objectives dedicated to this OTB to provide effective and centrally managed access to advanced materials characterizations, the modeling and data informatics. And of course, as all the other OTBs, we would like to grow this OTB and to prove that we can solve persistence problems for the industrials. And how it works. So we have a portfolio, a large portfolio of characterization techniques, of advanced characterization techniques dedicated to electrochemical storage. It can be batteries, it can be supercaps, it can be lead acid batteries, etc. And so we involve service providers around Europe, such as CA, ZW, SCRF, etc. And we have now more and more external service providers that join the community. And then we can say that we have one unique community dedicated to the characterization techniques for the electrochemical energy storage. So we have a large portfolio, and we collect the data through these characterizations to answer to the industrial problems. And we also collect all this data to a new database, and we propose also some services dedicated to this database. And we also have the opportunity to perform multi-scale multi-physics modeling and simulation. We have a dedicated toolbox for various multi-techniques, and we also collect from the data, and from the database we can also answer to the industrial request through this modeling and simulation. And we aim to be more and more predictive for the performance, the durability, the safety of materials properties into the processed materials. So how it works, how is this portfolio, service portfolio is delivered? So we have one customer, and this customer address is a user case to the single entry point, which is Serma Technologies. And in this TISMAT project, we get various cases that we can answer. The first one can be a known problem, so a very recurrent problem that the industry will have. Then we answer quite fast to this problem, because it's very simple and very easy problem that we can answer by characterization, by easy characterizations. And using our portfolio, we can answer fast with an appropriate cost. And then we can sign quite easily contract between the customer and the service, the single entry point. And then we'll also have this contract between the service providers and the single entry point to be sure that we can also provide an efficient confidentiality to the customer from the beginning. And in our case, we have also some complex problems where we have to answer to the industrial. And in this case, we need to have first discussions. We have also to need very specific preparation to be sure that we can answer properly to the industrial. And then we have discussion with the experts in the TISMAT project, and then we answer to the industrial after collecting and going through this characterization. And there is also very specific contracts to be sure that we can ensure the confidentiality through all this procedure. So our added value for the customer is this one. So we answer to all the problems for the characterization of the electrochemical energy storage problems. And it can be a complex problem, it can be an easy problem, and we offer centralized service with an appropriate answer to the customer problems. We think that the most important for the industry is to discuss first and then to answer by appropriate characterization. So we think that it's more relevant to propose very accurate and relevant techniques to limit the cost and to answer fast to accelerate the innovation. And I will not go in detail on this. So it's just the procedure that we have between the industrial, then we transform this industrial problem to a technological problem, to a scientific problem, and then we have discussions. As soon as we have identified the user case, we characterize the things, we perform some modeling in some case, and we also have traceability of all the samples, all the tests that we perform in the project, and then we have collected data, and we also collect this data to the database, and then we can have discussions and dedicated reports to the industrials, and then we have these discussions and then appropriate the characterization techniques to answer to the industrial problem. And that's it. Okay, thank you very much. This answer to the requested questions from the beginning.
Thank you, Philip, for bringing us the TISMAT project. So to close this second slot of presentations, we have now with us Franz Piquet. Franz will bring us the iTribalMat OITB. I think, Franz, you want to share a video, right?
Yes, thank you.
I want still with us.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Perfect.
yes, I want to share a video. Just short introduction. My name is Franz Birk. I'm the coordinator together with my colleague Ivana Todt, coordinating the OITB iTribalMat. Just a few remarks. This is now the third workshop, partially or full, organized by the Commission, and the first was in 2019 in Brussels, also with Hans Petersen. And now I have also a little bit of evolution, evolution of all the presentations. And just a comment from my side, for us, it's important if you set up a OITB and the single entry point to build also your brand, to have your strategy, and to offer your services in a really good way to the customers. And therefore, I want to show you the video. I think the video should explain everything, hopefully, and I'm interested of your feedback. So now I will share and hopefully everything will work.
Efficiency, durability, and innovation are the key factors you must keep in mind when developing your products. This usually involves long development processes, high costs for prototypes, and rigid workflows. Which material or surface design works best? And which lubricant should be used to satisfy the efficiency and durability requirements of your product? Wouldn't it be great if there was an easy-to-use service that offers you answers to all your questions? With our on-demand services of standardized tribological characterization, data-driven services, and virtual workrooms with integrated lab to field upscaling services, you can develop your products more time efficiently and at lower costs. You want to know how different materials, lubricants, or surface designs perform? We provide standardized tribological characterization and analysis with a significant quantity of data of superior quality. You need data for statistics or analytics? We offer data-driven services. All your data and material information are stored and securely managed by us. You can use your data for additional data analytics, create reports quickly, or find new ideas, anytime, anywhere. You want to reduce expensive and long-lasting component tests? Use our virtual workrooms and lab-to-field upscaling services. With our easy-to-use tools, you can use all relevant material information produced and predict the performance of your product. This decreases the number of expensive prototypes and component tests, saving you time and money. And the best thing about this? All of these services can easily be selected via our web platform, whenever and wherever you need them. Toyota, Moventus, and Trigonal already rely on our services. So what are you waiting for? We are iTribalMat, the European Tribology Center, with partners from all over Europe. Get in contact to access more than 100 tribometers and additional advanced characterization methods, and get support from more than 250 experts. We provide you with the world's most flexible and most extensive tribological material characterization. Go to i-tribomat.eu and join us now.
So, yes, that's it. Hopefully the sound and the video was transmitted in a good way.
Yes, it worked perfectly.
So I think that's all I want to say, and hopefully I get some questions.
Okay, thanks a lot for this video, and congratulations. It's really nice. So we are closing now this second slot of OITB's presentation. Once again, I want to thank you and wish you all the success with the further implementation of these projects. we don't have much questions at this stage. We have a question here from Sara Momi. It was directed to Luca Magnani, representing here the, well, Luca, sorry, I'm lost now in the OITB. So Luca from the LightMe OITB. So I will read this question. Are you considering to foresee a fee for companies to access the platform after the end of the EU-funded project, or a sort of periodic subscription eventually?
Yes, what we have already defined is that in order to be part of the ecosystem, so on the LightMe ecosystem, there will be an annual fee, and the fee will be different according to the, let's say, role and services that you can get from the ecosystem. Of course, if you are let's say, a company, you just want to have access to the single entry point for the services, you don't need to let's say, pay the fee. It's something that is, let's say, one-time service. You don't need. If you want to have and to receive, let's say, and to be part of the ecosystem, there will be an annual fee.
Okay, so it means that companies or any kind of user can kind of pre-book services from the OITB.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying this question. So it seems that we don't have more questions at this point of time. So we are getting to the end of our workshop. So it's now 5:15. Before closing and to wrap up the workshop, I will call again John Falteish to share with us some final notes. Unless any of you would, well, sorry, we have like a very
yeah, that is what I wanted to say. We have a
yeah, just dropped now. So are there OITBs with overlapping services for a customer? In principle, counseling can be requested from different OITBs. I don't know who offer to answer this question. It may be some redundancies. I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, I'm Zachary from DTI. I see that there are, especially even in the lightweight materials OITBs. There's a few things that are sort of overlapping, but I don't think that's. I think it's more of a strength, because then we can sort of also collaborate and sort of help each other in different application areas. So if a customer is interested in a specific entry point, single entry point, or open innovation testbed, they should just talk to them, and then perhaps get referred to another one that has the service they're looking for. I think that's sort of we have a collaboration. We talk to each other. So I think this is the way to go. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And anyway, these services, I believe they will be geographically distributed, and especially SMEs, usually they request services more close to their own location. So I think it's good to have this spread all over Europe. So I think now we are in a position to close this session. John, I will handle it to you. Just a final word from my side. So once again, I invite you to join the Euro-Nano Forum tomorrow and the day after. So have a look on the platform. I think it's in a good shape now. So John, I will handle it to you now for the final notes. Thank you all once again.
So practically, I also wanted to answer, before I say some final words, I want to shortly answer on this question with the overlapping services of the OITB. And I would say there is clearly some overlap, but I would say it's more a complementary overlap, because each of the OITB, and this is really interesting to see, even those from the same call address certain specialties, a certain special market, certain special type of product, certain special type of applications, so that we can basically benefit each other. And a really important aspect is this regional aspect, to say, okay, the Spanish SME wants to have a contact in Spanish language, and I'm even thinking about countries that we have not seen yet here. And this is countries like Romania, countries like Bulgaria, also Greece, where you practically, we need to connect them. We want, I know that there are certain gaps in SME that are very, very interesting and also in research. And probably here, it will, in the end, will be difficult for a single OITB to establish regional representatives everywhere. This is really an aspect where we say, and where I really think that we should closely work together to join the forces and in the end find a way to make sure that probably regional contacts or regional, I would say even single entry points, wherever relevant, should be harmonized and work together. And with that, I've seen also a very, very good result here from the second part, afternoon workshop, really seen service-oriented presentation from all the OITBs, and I want to thank very much every speaker for the very good presentations. I want to thank Marina, INL, the organizers of the Euro-Nano Forum, for patiently answering each question, how can I connect, for organizing the event, for keeping track on all registrations. I'm also happy and want to thank Angel from Safe and MedTech OITB, because we practically organized this event together. And also thank you to Janaris, Oslem, Peter, and everyone from European Commission to support and put the event and give all the input. How do we continue? And how do we continue? Definitely, there are some questions, and I have learned this both in the morning and also now in the afternoon. Definitely, I believe we need follow-up events. We will have follow-up events, and I see it, and we can discuss, however, but I see it as thematic events, saying, okay, we do user-dedicated workshops where we, for specific topics, ask the OITB to present, gather customers, let the customers speak, potential customers, let them speak about their requirements, let them speak about their products. How can this is one aspect, one format. Another format, definitely this is something that we need, and I learned this in the morning part, that it was a closed session for the OITB only, to think about and synchronize on how everyone is doing there, a single entry point on how everyone is setting up their organization. And there is one requirement from the call, and I remember from our call, it was saying, bring 25% increased customers to the whole European innovation ecosystem with your OITB. So it's absolutely necessary that we work together and that also the single entry points work together. Yeah. This is something that we should take care, and the OITB are just one part of the story. There are other projects. Janaris is writing it to the chat. There are other projects that are relevant. There are also pilot lines. There are research projects that have some results, and the OITBs are the right place to get these results to the market. Yeah? And this is how I see it. And definitely we will have further events. We will have further workshops with specific aspects. Dirk is thinking about a workshop on collaboration of OITB and create the overlapping, I would say the overlapping master, is how to synchronize the SEP, having even an SEP that joins everything together, or a place where at least the data and service offers are brought together. Very interesting ideas, and we will follow up with that. And that's finally the moment to close the session today. I hope that everyone is happy with the result. I hope that also we have convinced the industry and the potential customers that Open Innovation Testbeds are doing good things, that we are basically, that you come back as customer and that we can help you and support you in getting your products done faster. Yeah, with that, I'm done for today. And if there are still a last chance for questions, if you type quickly while I'm saying goodbye, have a safe trip back home. No, you are probably all at home or in the office. And yeah, see you tomorrow for the Euro-Nano Forum. And thank you very much again to everybody. We will organize, this is probably a last side administration note, we will organize some meeting minutes that we will share. I please ask every single speaker from today to give me a confirmation, to Marina and me, a confirmation whether you want to share your presentation. Yeah? Definitely, we will have the recording of the afternoon session that we will make available. And for the morning session, yeah, if you want to have the presentation shared with this closed group of the morning session, please tell me. We will arrange this, and we will create meeting minutes from the morning session as well and share it to the coordinators in particular. And for the afternoon session, we will make it available probably through the Flex Function to Sustain website. I think this is a good place for it, or to at least give you an idea on how to access it. Okay, yeah. By the way, some statistics. We had for the morning session 80 registrants and about 60 participants between 60 different people, maximum at the same time around 50 something people. And in the afternoon session we had in the end far more than 100 registrants, and in total at the same time we had exactly 102 people being connected at the same time, and that is really an impressive number for the workshop, and I didn't expect that. So thank you very much to every attendee, to every speaker, and to every organizer. Yeah, have a good time. Have a good Tuesday afternoon.
Nice evening.
Yeah, Marina, thanks again, because you did most of the
you.
work, practically your work. So
it's a teamwork. Okay.
For me, the day continues now with the 5 hours conference in US Society of Vacuum Coaters.
Good luck with that, John. Nice evening.
Some of you
Nice
maybe I
evening.
meet there. So have a good time. By the way, the IEEE, you should present on the Society of Vacuum Coaters conference.
Yeah, you can send me the link or write me an
Ja,
email.
kann ich machen. Ne? Also,
danke.
Not this year because the SBC is quite already booked up, but that's why I can send you a link. Yeah?
Send the video and it is done.
The video, basically for this year the conferences are full, but this is good idea. Yeah, because tribologic coatings, they are working on tribologic coatings, so I bring you customers.
Perfect. So you can apply for a translator if you want. We have also opened the
It could be an option.
translator.
Yeah, this is really a point, Franz.
Yeah.
This is really something we should consider.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so thank you.
Thanks again. Franz,
Bye.
probably I will contact you separately. Because I think
Perfect.
this idea with the translator is a good story, because we are in the thin film coating industry, and you're basically characterizing tribologic properties.
Yeah. That's fine. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good
Bye.
evening.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.